One time when I was living in Chicago, I had a neighbor who I guess was into me, but I had no idea. I'd never met these people. I did like a little burlesque performance one night, and I came home and I was wearing my little getup, and so obviously it causes a lot of people to stare because my makeup, my hair, and I'm wearing like bejeweled stuff and whatever. So this couple in my building comes downstairs and they were like, "Oh my gosh, like what are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I like just did a burlesque performance and like, yeah, it was really cute, whatever." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool. What are you doing this weekend?" And I was like, "No, not much." And if you live in Chicago, you know that like going on a boat in the summer is like a regular thing that a lot of people do. And they were like, "Oh, well, we have a boat. Would you want to go on the boat with us tomorrow?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Like, sounds fun." So I go on this boat with them, and it was like a fine time. Like, you know, we were on a boat, like it was normal. I will say that the husband did make a few like flirtatious comments toward me. But I didn't really like, it wasn't anything really that notable. It was just like kind of awkward. And mind you, there was another couple on the boat with us. So it was like two couples and me. Anyways, that was like a kind of normal time, whatever. We had a time, we all came home. And then when it was time to kind of go our separate ways, the man was like trying to get a plan together. Like he was trying to like make it so that I didn't go home. But honestly, I got like soaked on the boat because it was kind of a dinghy and it was just like not, I wanted to just take a shower and go to bed. But I go up to my room and he's like, "Hey, we're all going to," and I think it was STK. I don't know. It was some sort of steakhouse. He's like, "We're all going to the steakhouse. Come with us. Like, it's on me. Like, we're all gonna get steaks and have like a nice dinner. Like, just get ready and meet us downstairs." And I was like, "Okay, like, who's gonna say no to that? Of course I'm gonna go to the steakhouse." So, and mind you, at this point, he made one flirtatious comment, but I wasn't like creeped out. It was more like hindsight. I noticed it was flirtatious. But anyways, I'm getting ready and he texts me again while I'm getting ready and he was like, "Hey, we're all having drinks up here. Like, do you want me to bring you down a cocktail for, to drink while you're getting ready?" And he had been talking up this like cocktail that he likes that I'd never tried. And so he made it and then brought it down for me. Now, tell me why I opened the door and this man has a picture of the cocktail in two glasses. Two glasses. And I was just like, "Oh, okay, I see what you're doing. You were inviting yourself over." Weird. Super weird. But what am I gonna do? Like, it was just kind of awkward at that point. So I let him in. I was like, "I'm not like done getting ready yet." And mind you, I had like really curly hair and I was blow drying my hair and I looked like a freaking lion. So like, it was not a good time. But I was like, "Okay, yeah, like, sorry, I'm like just still getting ready." And he's like, "No, take your time. I'll entertain myself out here. Like, last thing I want is this weird man to be sitting in my apartment in my kitchen entertaining himself while I'm getting ready, out of sight." So anyways, I get ready as quickly as possible because I didn't want to be sitting in my apartment with this man. It was just kind of weird. But I still didn't really think twice about it. I just thought like, oh, maybe he like, I just thought this guy was friendly. Cause mind you, when you move from Arizona to the Midwest, everyone's just friendly and it's kind of a culture shock. And so you don't know if someone's flirting with you or if they are just being friendly. So I was giving everyone the benefit of the doubt and just assumed he was being friendly. So I was like, "Okay, yeah, like I'm ready." I come out, we're all ready, and I was like, "Should we bring like your glasses back up?" And he's like, "Oh, I'll just leave them here. Like, I'll get them later." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So he's like, "Are you ready?" "Yeah, let's go." And I'm like, "Okay." Like thinking to myself, like, is everybody else ready? Like, I'm a little confused. And so anyways, we go to the elevator, go down to the lobby, and he's like, "Oh, the car will be here in like 2 minutes or whatever." And I was like, "Oh, well, is everyone else coming down? Like, is everyone else ready?" And he goes, "Oh no, everyone else actually backed out, so it's just you and I." The way that I felt so coerced into this, and mind you, like, I'm not the kind of person who can sit through a steak dinner with someone I don't enjoy just to get a steak dinner out of it. So like this could have been like, oh, like iconic, but it kind of wasn't. So whatever, I go to the restaurant with him anyway. I didn't really feel like I had a choice. If you're a girl, you know. I was very coerced. The car's pulling up. I just got ready with him in my living room. I was like, I'm just gonna go to this dinner and never talk to this guy again. So we go to the dinner and he's kind of speaking to me like very flirtatious. And I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and guess that you're like in an open marriage or like, what's the situation? And he's like, yeah, I'm allowed to like essentially step out to fulfill those needs of mine. And I'm like, what a freaking loser of a man. in the first place, just to even say those words out loud. But also the fact that you even made, the fact you made that pact, like, just get divorced. Just get divorced, okay? Go find love. But anyways, he was telling me about his little deal with his, and he told his wife he has this big crush on me. So the whole thing about going on the boat with all these people was to ease me into it and this and that. And I'm just like, dude. And again, when you're a female, you know that, like, situations like this can be kind of sticky. So you kind of have to, like, ease out. I tried to really stick to, like, surface level conversation. Like, he just had bought, like, a custom Ferrari or whatever. So I asked him about the process, and I just tried to keep it cordial because men like this have an ego, and I just didn't want to. It was already weird that he had to coerce me into going into a dinner with him. I didn't know what this man was capable of next, so I just kept it cool, went along my way. So now we go home, and I'm like, yeah, I want to go my separate ways. And then I went my separate way, he went his separate way, and I had to, like, clean his dishes and, like, leave it at his door one day. It was really awkward. And then I had to continue living there for another, like, month or so, having to see him and his wife around. Did he stop pursuing me? No. He asked me out on a few dates, and then when I moved into my new apartment, not only did he find out what building I was moving into, he showed up with flowers and ice cream the day before I moved in. And this, I should have sued this apartment complex. They let this man into my future unit to leave those items for me. He lied and said that he was my boyfriend, and they just believed him. Why not? And they let him in because they thought it was cute. So now he not only had confirmation of the building I was moving into, but also my unit. Did he stalk me further after that? No, he got the hint and left me alone. Thank goodness. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I don't understand the mindset of a man that feels like they have to coerce you into liking them or going on a date with them. Like, why do you think that angle is going to work? Because I guarantee it's not.
Fertility girls, it's been a while since I've told you about my full infertility journey, so I thought I would update it and add in my more recent experiences. I'm going to try to make this as fast as I can. So I've been trying to get pregnant for 5 years now. In the first year, like everybody else, just trying naturally, thinking it was going to happen at some point, not that stressed about it. I've always been very crunchy, very like all about homeopathic remedies, etc. So I was very healthy before I started trying to conceive. I never used hormonal birth control. I was just felt very physically ready to conceive and thought that it would be easy for me. Through that process, I did start listening to a million podcasts about fertility and food and all these things, you know, Real Food for Fertility book, any podcast I could have possibly listened to about fertility. I was taking supplements. I was doing all the things. I was doing a pro-metabolic diet. I was doing adrenal cocktails in the afternoon. Anything I could do to support my hormones, I was doing during that season. Obviously was unsuccessful, never got pregnant. About a year mark, I was like, well, I'll just go to my OBGYN. So this is OBGYN number 1. I go see her. She says, let's run a basic hormone panel. We find out that my thyroid levels are slightly off. She gives me a thyroid medication. Did a test on my husband. He looked normal. So she was like, you know, maybe you just need a thyroid medication. Keep trying. So we do. We keep trying. Nothing happens. My friend tells me about another OBGYN that she was seeing, so I go see her. Holy shit, a giant branch just fell in my neighbor's car. Sorry, that was crazy. Anyways, I go to OBGYN number 2. She does another hormone panel, just a little bit more extensive than the last one. We didn't find anything that interesting. She has me do an HSG test to make sure that my tubes are open. We do some ultrasounds. She does a little bit of monitoring. She says, let's start letrozole. I say, great, sounds amazing, which funny enough, at that time, deciding to take letrozole felt like this huge thing for me because I was like, I'm going to take a pharmaceutical drug. 3 rounds of letrozole, no pregnancy. She says you need to go to a fertility clinic. I was not quite ready to make that decision yet, so I sat on it for a little bit of time. Then my friend suggested a NAPRO doctor to me, so I start going to see them at their office, and they were fantastic. We did a extremely thorough hormone panel and blood tests and all these things. It was so thorough. We found so much more information than I had learned before. Found out that I had Hashimoto's, PCOS, insulin resistance, and luteinized unruptured follicle syndrome. We will talk about all those things. So I got diagnosed with all 4 of those things, and then we started to implement changes. So I was basically keto, but mostly I was just focused on not spiking my blood sugar because of my insulin resistance, which is what basically drives the PCOS. So stopped eating sugar, started wearing a continuous glucose monitor. I tried just changing my diet at first, then eventually I tried metformin, which is a diabetes drug, to try to manage my blood sugar in that way. I tried being on inositol, low-dose naltrexone for my Hashimoto's. I was also doing cervical mucus tracking, adding progesterone during my luteal phase, so many things. And I was doing ultrasounds every month to monitor whether or not my follicle was rupturing, because luteinized unruptured follicle syndrome is basically where your ovary produces a dominant follicle and then instead of rupturing, it just turns into a cyst. So you basically have no idea that you are not fully ovulating. Your ovulation test is positive, it's looking like you're ovulating, but if you do an ultrasound directly after ovulation, you can see that it is now a cyst. I've now received some competing information about that, but at the time, this was the knowledge that I was operating under. So we were trying every single month to try to get my follicle to rupture. Now, the question of why is it not rupturing is twofold. Number one, it could be hormonal, like my body's not producing the right cocktail of hormones in order to have it fully rupture. Or number two, it could be structural. So I could not be rupturing my follicle because of maybe endometriosis or something of that nature. And so then we started looking into endometriosis a little bit more seriously. My doctor at this NAPRO center is an incredible surgeon. He's one of the best endometriosis surgeons in the world. People travel all over to see him. So he didn't want to do surgery for me until we had tried all of these other things, because I don't have every classic endometriosis symptom, really just infertility was my main symptom. And so he hesitated. We put it off for a little bit of time. And then eventually he just said, it seems like this is the logical next step. So we did my endometriosis surgery, which I'm grateful to do. He did a fantastic job. He went in. I had stage 1 endometriosis. He excised it. He took out my appendix. He cleared my tubes. They were already pretty clear, but he cleared them anyways. Like, he did everything he could. And structurally, other than the stage 1 endometriosis that was excised, everything looked fairly normal. He did say that my ovaries looked quite swollen, and he said it was very indicative of just PCOS, so just very swollen, and that was something that I need to work on moving forward. So we finished the surgery. He told my husband, he said, I don't know that this is going to be your magic fix, but it was a good step forward. So we take that step. I continue to work with that clinic. I'm doing every single thing under the sun. I start adding in acupuncture. I'm doing pelvic floor therapy to try to get everything loose and moving down there. I am doing TENS therapy. I'm doing trigger shots every single month to try to get my follicle to rupture. I'm still doing keto. I'm still doing all these supplements. I'm doing literally every single thing you could possibly think of. I do that for months and months and months, and nothing changes. I never get pregnant. I forgot to say I also tried a GLP-1 because my clinic had been having success with people with insulin resistance getting pregnant using a GLP-1. So I was on a GLP-1 for 3 months, 3.5 months. It wasn't successful. I just got extremely skinny and then had to put more weight back on so that I could be a healthy weight in order to try to be fertile. And at some point I had to sit there and go, how much longer do I do this? Because at that point it's like, it had been almost 4 years. My surgeon was not going to recommend me out into an IVF clinic because they don't believe in IVF, which is totally fine. But I just realized that that was a decision I was going to have to make on my own. So at some point I decided to do consultations with 2 IVF clinics, 2 of the top ones in my area. Both clinics separately tell me, you don't have PCOS, you don't have luteinized unruptured follicle syndrome, you do not have all these things basically that you're being told that you have, which was interesting to hear. I was like, okay, well then why am I not pregnant then? They both had conflicting ideas of maybe why I was or was not pregnant, but at the end of the day, the end result was the same, that IVF was most likely our best step forward. Now, I know that doing IVF is controversial, but I felt like this was just the right decision to go forward with. So I picked my clinic, started working with them. I did an egg retrieval last year around August. My egg retrieval process went well. I had less eggs than my doctor was expecting of me based on my original PCOS markers. And I actually found out how many of them made it to embryos. My doctor was quite surprised at the number of PGTA normal embryos that we ended up with. Now, don't get me wrong, I was extremely thankful. We ended up with 3 embryos and I was thrilled with 3, but just to be fair, my doctor was surprised that that was my outcome because she had assumed that I would have a better result. So we do the egg retrieval, we have 3 embryos. We start doing transfers. I did a modified natural transfer for my first transfer. It was successful. I was pregnant until 7.5 weeks, and then it was a miscarriage. The heart stopped beating. We don't know why. And I had a DNC at 8 weeks. We did a second transfer, same protocol. We did add in Lovenox because we were hoping that that would stop us from having a miscarriage again. Failed. Third transfer, same protocol, failed. So now we don't have embryos left, and we are going to move forward with another egg retrieval. Hopefully, we've learned a lot from the first egg retrieval. We can make changes, and I'm hoping that this egg retrieval will be more successful. I also just took a 3-month break, so I just did a million supplements. I worked out really hard. I ate really healthy. I feel like I'm in a great mental and physical state to get started again. But if there's one thing that I've learned on this journey, it is to have measured expectations, because I know that anything can happen, and we will move forward with this egg retrieval. I am feeling optimistic about it. Once this egg retrieval is done, hopefully we get, an adequate number of genetically normal embryos, and then we will move forward with transfers, but we will probably try a suppression. So Lupron suppression is most likely up next for us, since my endometriosis has already been excised, and it sort of seems like that's the only potential factor, other than I don't know what else we're not seeing. We did have my husband do a DNA fragmentation test, and that came back with no issues. So I don't know what else it would be. We will do a fully medicated transfer after a Lupron suppression. So hopefully that ends up being the magic ticket, but who knows? I will say that I am very proud of myself for just having found so much peace and confidence throughout this process. And I do still want a baby more than anything else, but I also feel very content in my life and grateful for this journey and the ways it has developed me. And I'm also grateful for this community and for meeting you guys and for being able to share this part of my journey here on the internet. So thank you guys for that. And if you want to follow along on my next egg retrieval, I will be posting all about it. So that is my fertility journey. Feel free to ask me any questions. I'm happy to answer. There's probably something I forgot along this process, so if I did, I'll mention it in the comments, but love you guys.
Yes, I also think it's so crazy that they told me that my diagnoses were wrong. Both of them, like, I didn't tell the first one what the first one said, or what, the second one, whatever. They said it on their own. But this is where I feel, or I wish, I guess, that there could be some unity between, like, the NAPRO side and the reproductive endocrinologist, because you have to imagine that there's a world in which, like, those things could meet together. And I hear you guys talk about some of your infertility clinics that are very thorough and detailed, and I think that's amazing. My clinic is fantastic, and I really love and appreciate them. I love my doctor. I think she's fantastic. They definitely aren't as interested in root cause. They're not interested in it, but, they're really just interested in making the IVF work. And so it's like, okay, maybe it's this, as what is the best solution to move forward to hopefully make this IVF work as quickly as possible and most efficiently as possible, and to save you the most money and time and all the things, which I appreciate. I appreciate that. I think the intentions there are fantastic. We don't really have the time and money to just be questioning the whole time, but at the same time, like, yeah, I was told, like, you don't have PCOS, you don't have insulin resistance, you don't have all these different things. And now, having had my IVF rounds fail, I have some doubts about, like, maybe those things could be playing a factor, And I don't know. I'm not the expert. I mean, I believe my doctor knows what she's talking about for sure, but healthcare is just so siloed, and I think that's a bigger conversation. Don't get me on my soapbox, but it is very siloed, and I think it's sad that I can receive all these diagnoses one place, they can say no, it's not true, and and I'm left as the patient just going, okay, I don't know. Like, I'm definitely not the expert, although it is ultimately my responsibility to take my health in my own hands. So I agree. I find it very crazy.
Posted a video last night. I did not expect it to get as many views as it did. I have been meaning to do this story time for about a week and a half now. I did actually post before this whole thing happened. I posted about the situation because I was already stressed about it. I knew there was going to be drama involved. So let's get into it. This is going to be a long one. I will also be providing receipts. I'm not on the greatest terms with every member of my family. I do still want to respect their privacy, other than the one who did all of this, okay? Because she literally said, looking forward to my shout out on TikTok. This video is technically Bailey's shout out of sorts. December of 2025, we gift my parents, meaning my stepmom, my dad, together as well, and then my mom separately, a family photo session, okay? The photographer we booked is BFFs with the sister, and she was recommended to me by my sister in June of 2024 when my husband and I got married. She did our wedding pictures. She was awesome. My sister booked her for grad pics. The sister that she's besties with, Bailey, books her for like all of her family sessions. Okay, so we know the photographer. I don't even know why I bother blurring out everyone's faces because they're literally on her profile. Another thing to note before we get into everything, I have Kyla blocked. Kyla is the photographer, and this is not hate against the photographer, okay? This has to do with my sister. They're besties, so she's kind of caught in the middle of it, but Kyla is blocked on my TikTok, and she has been since last September or October. She's been blocked because I did not want my TikTok to be the subject of conversation. She was sending stuff to my sister, and I was not vibing with that. So we gifted family pictures. Figured we would probably end up doing them sometime in the summer, early summer this year. I get a text in our sibling group chat and they're saying, hey, when should we schedule this? They're throwing out dates. They land on mine and my husband's anniversary, exactly 1 year later, which is also his birthday. We didn't think anything of it. My twin sister was blessing her baby that weekend and I was like, we'll go. Okay, this will be good to do 2 things at once. We knew we wanted to schedule them all in one weekend, which is what we did. Pick a date, and then she says, Bailey, we need to figure out colors. We did not know it at the time, but she definitely had colors picked out already. Well, those are the exact same colors that we did 2 years ago. I recommend denim, cream, tan, browns, things like that. She's not a fan of the idea. She then says, no to denim, but let's just do blue because blue can include denim. The point, I did not want blue to be the color. I wanted the only blue to be denim, but we start picking out our outfits, okay? A few of the girls send their dresses into this group chat, and she immediately starts making snide comments. We're gonna look like we're going to the county fair. I should get a red bandana to go with mine. So I say, maybe you should pick out everyone's outfits too, because I know she's already picked out the location and the date and the time. She didn't like that comment. She alludes to the fact that it's going to be a very long time before she does family pictures again. It's in this conversation that I mentioned, oh, Tars will be on theme. Tars is my dog. Show the people what you look like. This is Tars. He's very menacing. So I bring up Tars will be on theme. I kind of pitched the idea of like, oh, I'm bringing my dog. Obviously, we're flying. Not to mention, last time we did family pictures, dogs were allowed. So why would it be different this time? This specific photographer did have pictures of clients' dogs in her gallery. It isn't until later that she says, oh, by the way, no dogs for these family pictures. Me and one other sister say, what do you mean? We thought back in December dogs were fine. There was no mention of this. What's going on type thing. I do have 2 other siblings that have dogs. They did not want to bring their dogs. They're bigger breeds. They did not want their dogs in family pictures. She says, don't shoot the messenger, meaning herself. I'm just relaying info. We're like, from who? Who is it that isn't okay with the dogs? And she says, mom and stepmom. Take it up with them. So we do. I talk to my mom and she says, oh, Bailey just said they were a pain in the butt last time. So then my other sister wants to bring her dog. She goes to my dad and stepmom and says, hey, what's this I hear about the dogs not being allowed? And my dad goes, you can have your dog in your picture. I just don't want him in the big family picture. We don't want our dogs in the large family photo. We just want a single picture. It's now that she starts to realize we're not taking the, oh, stepmom and mom said so you're going to have to deal with it. We kind of called her bluff in a way. Now she's starting to say, well, it's a time thing. We're already going to be pressed for time. Another sister with a child says, my child is going to take longer than Michaela and Tars. She then changes the argument again. So this is her third reason. First it was the parents, then it was time, and now it's the photographer. Well, Kyla already said no to dogs. We hired Kyla. Why is she telling us what we can and cannot do? I think we all knew that it wasn't Kyla, it was Bailey. She then says, you can pay for another session with Kyla so you can have a picture with your dog. It was $75 for a single picture. Single picture with your dog. Bailey and Kyla were going to claim it as an individual family picture. And she says, we didn't pay for individual family pictures. We paid for like a group session. So you mean to tell me that no kids are allowed in pictures? Because that would be an individual family. Me and the other sister who's bringing her dog decide we're bringing them. And the screenshots will probably show this in a more like chronological order. She then says, this is the date and time. This is where we're doing it. Mind you, she's the one that's decided this. This is the date and time. If you try any funny business, i.e. bringing your dog, Kyla, the photographer, will not take your picture. You can keep the same ones that you had, and you can wait another 5 years or whatever the timeline was to get them done again. A single picture with our dog. Parents said it was okay. It will take 2 seconds. What is your deal? I am not so much wanting a picture with my dog as much as wanting my other sister to get what she wants, which is a picture with her entire family. She just had a new baby, loves this dog. Like, she deserves to have a family picture with all of them. This story is getting a little long. I'm so sorry. Please go to part 2. So, what is the big deal? What's going on? In my brain, I'm thinking, she's got to be pregnant, right? I don't know why I get the inkling she's pregnant. I don't know how that has anything to do with anything. She's had kids before. She's never acted this way. That's the only thing I could think of. It's like, she's got to be pregnant. But she hasn't announced anything. So everyone's like, based on her pattern, she has a child like every 2 years. So that 2 years is coming up. Made sense in my brain. I put that in the back of my brain, kind of pitch it to a few of my sisters, and they're like, I don't think so. Why would she hide it? Don't ask me. She says, Kyla will not take your picture. If you want a picture with your dog, one, if you try to attempt any of this, we won't do family pictures again for a very long time. You won't get your picture taken. You'll have to keep your old one. Yeah, boo-hoo. Like, and she says, you can take a picture with your phone. This is where it starts to turn from she's being difficult to something is up. We are all like, what is going on? This is so out of character for her. She's being manipulative. She's being rude. She's insulting people. This is kind of where it starts to shift because she's not getting her way. We're not really taking no for an answer because she's not being truthful, and we can tell. She's changed her story 3 or 4 times. During all of this, my parents say nothing. I say, I'm not driving down there so that like you can basically host family pictures and get us to all pay for them. She says, I'll send your money back. So you're still going to expect us to drive down there and fly down there for family pictures? So she sends the money I sent originally. She sends that back. She sends it back to the other sister as well. And I distinctly remember thinking, she's going to send this back. And then she's not going to give us our pictures. And she's going to say, it's because we didn't pay for them. Which is exactly what she did. I basically say, I'm not coming then. Twin sister says, no, you can't because we want you to be here for the baby. That's fair. Think it through, but we already canceled our flight, so I'm like, okay, I guess we'll drive. I text my sister that wants to bring her dog, and she's like, I'm bringing him. Will you bring Tars? Absolutely. Again, she wants some support. It is important to note she lives in the same town as my sister. She is trying to not be contentious. I live in California. They live in Wyoming. I'm like, I'm perfect. I don't have to see her. We're not on good terms, so I don't mind being the one being difficult. I don't mind saying I'm bringing my dog no matter what. And then the other sister getting to like, okay, well, I get to bring my dog too. Which I totally support. It's back to no. Kyla says no. And I say, I want to see the receipts. She sends me one text basically saying, yeah, no, blah, blah. Once I had this family session and the dogs were menaces. This wasn't what I was looking for. What I needed was for the photographer to say, hey, booking with me. It does say in our agreement, no dogs, or you have to pay extra for dogs. I was looking for something like that, not a single text out of their conversation that was clearly coached by this sister. Did not send a conversation. She didn't send any of her own text. There was no conversation. It was purely a response text. For me, that was not enough. So we do some digging. We're like, you have dogs on your account. There's no mention of the fact that there would be no dogs. Why are we just hearing about it now? And why does the sister care so much? What is going on? So then I say, wow, that's pretty freaking cropped. She says, how many more do you want? I say, I want the conversation. She goes, no, because we talk about stuff that I don't need you knowing. Okay. I didn't stress on it too much because I knew I wasn't going to get that from her. Okay, I want to see the contract because when I booked with her, I had to sign a contract saying, I've seen your pictures in your gallery and that's what I expect. I don't expect something different, right? You're basically agreeing to, I like your style and this is what I'm expecting. If you signed a contract that doesn't say no dogs, wouldn't she be voiding the contract? Because by looking at her profile, clear she photographs dogs. By her randomly deciding I don't do dogs without letting you know, it would be going against her own like style per se. Tell me if I'm wrong. That's the way I viewed it. Was, do you have a contract saying no dogs? Did you sign a contract saying there were no dogs? I would like to see it. And she says, I didn't sign a contract. Now, this is important to note when I text the photographer. She says, I didn't sign a contract, but I can have her write one up if you would like. After we've paid, we have the date set. Do you understand how contracts work? Fast forward, I just decided we're going to do it because my mom has never had family pictures done. With us, with her grandkids, she's always wanting family pictures. She's coming down. She's taking work off. I don't want to be the reason that my mom never has family pictures. So we decide to go. Weekend of family pictures come up. Everyone's at the house except the sister. She sends the pin. Mind you, none of us fought the location. None of us fought the colors. None of us fought the time or the date. We let her pick everything. We just wanted a picture with our dog. We show up and we did book this so that my stepmom and my dad would be there and then they would leave. And then my mom and my estranged sister, who's also mentioned on my account, would be there at another time. Hopefully that makes sense. We roll up to family pictures. Immediately. Remember when I said, I think Bailey might be pregnant? Absolutely 100%. And let me just clear this up right now. That's not me saying she's bigger or she's fat or she looks overweight. That's my sister is very slim. I feel like I can tell when she's pregnant. Maybe I'm wrong and I'm okay with being wrong. That's fine. But I saw her and I was like, yeah, and maybe that's why. Maybe we'll give her some grace. We start taking individuals. I go to the car. I pick up Tars. He's like literally my arm. I walk up. He's not barking. He's not doing anything. I'm ready to take our picture. We go up. And Bailey sees me and she goes, Michaela, don't be stupid. First of all, why are you talking to me like that? I look at her, I'm like, what do you mean? Proceeds to call me either dumb or stupid one more time. And I'm just kind of sitting there like, where are my siblings? Why aren't they saying, Bailey, what's your deal? No support whatsoever. And my husband just kind of like says like, okay, just go put him back in the car. I'm pissed. My pictures didn't even turn out good because I was so pissed. I almost started crying. And not because I couldn't have a picture with my dog. It's because my siblings just stood like, maybe they didn't hear. Maybe no one heard her call me stupid, which is crazy. She was standing over by them and I'm by the cars bringing my dog over. So I don't know how nobody heard her. Oh, she says, you will not get these pictures. And she turns back around. My dad's making comments because he knows what's going on. I think he likes to stir the pot. And he goes, while we're taking pictures, you don't look very happy. And I say, I'm not. Then there were little moments where Kyla would be like, Michaela, do you want to come stand next to Bailey? I know she knows what's going on. I say, no, not really. At this point, I was so disappointed how my sister was acting and like the dominance that she felt like she had over me as an individual. It is probably 30 to 40 minutes from the time my stepmom and my dad leave to when my mom shows up. Bailey's the one that told her the wrong time, I guess. I felt like, I have no idea why, but Kyla I think she asked me 3 separate times, do you want any more pictures? Almost as if she knew that we wanted a picture with our dog. I really don't know. She did ask multiple times. During this lull, the sister that wants a picture with her dog goes up to the photographer and says, hey, can we get a picture with our dog? And the photographer says, absolutely, of course, something along those lines. Not indicative that she was against taking a picture of dogs. So now we have the time. That's one of the arguments gone. We have 30 extra minutes. The photographer says it's okay. That's another argument out the door. They're not going to be in family pictures and neither parent is there. Third argument, gone. In our minds, there's no reason why we can't have a single picture with our dog. The sister goes and she gets her dog and she says, go get Tars. Kyla said yes. I go get Tars and we take 2 pictures. I take one with my husband and Tars and then I take one of just me and Tars. There's this one and then there's this one. I wish I could put this all in one part, but it would literally be a 30-minute video. So go to part 3. So about 3 weeks later, we get a text in the family group chat saying photos coming soon or something along those lines. Like a couple hours later, she says, how should I send them? She says, should I send them individually or should I send them all in here? And this is where lack of support from other siblings. One sister goes, just send them individually. She's going to be in control over whether or not we get the pictures. The sister that says, oh, send them individually, you know she's not going to send them, versus if you say send them all in here, everyone would see that she didn't send them. Does that make sense? I say just send us Kyla's link and the pin. The way she does it is she sends you an email with the link. She sends you a pin so you can download them. Without that pin, you cannot download photos. You can screenshot, but the quality is not going to be there. I'm trying to explain it the best that I can. She doesn't respond to that. This is the day that I made up my mind that I was done with Bailey. Moving forward, there will be no contact. A few hours go by. I text my twin sister and I say, hey, have you gotten your photos? And she goes, yes. Bailey's totally holding yours. The other sister who took pictures with her dog, she's not sending them. Bailey went through, downloaded all the pictures, went through all this effort so that she could avoid sending our pictures in. She manually selected which photos each sibling got. Some siblings didn't even get all their photos. I have a sister who's like, I didn't even get this one with so-and-so. And she didn't give anyone the pin. Mind you, Kyla has posted all of these photos to her public gallery. There's a picture of me and Tars on her public gallery. If she wasn't okay with photographing dogs, why would she have that in her gallery? Why is she advertising that? This isn't Kyla's fault. Maybe Bailey lied to her about the situation. I really have no idea. All I can say is it didn't make sense why Bailey said that she wouldn't be okay with dogs, and then she posts the dogs. The one sister who's also not getting her photos says, Bailey, did Kyla not edit any photos of my family? And Bailey says, oh, I'm sorry. I thought I made it clear what would happen if you brought your dogs. Which, let's note, she said Kyla wouldn't take our picture, not that she would be totally fine taking our picture, and that Bailey would be the one withholding them. So this is where she flips it and turns it into this manipulative, I don't even have words, essentially calls us selfish, says you had no skin in the game, don't know what you're so bugged about, you didn't pay for pictures, and these were a gift, so it's pretty weird you would expect to even get anything besides us has gotten something out of this. They've all gotten pictures, and she's not calling them weird. She's not saying any of that about the siblings that actually got pictures, but she's saying it about the siblings that didn't get anything. She says we had no skin in the game. Gas alone could have paid for the session. She also didn't spend 30 hours in a car. I think they were 5 minutes away from her house, basically behind her house. She's actually the one that had no skin in the game. The sister that's not getting her pictures either just kind of snaps. She says, why are you being such a hag? What is going on? Why have you had all the control? You chose to send our money back. Then she says, I don't know why you guys think you can do whatever you want, which we just thought was odd because she's the one doing what she wants. You're incredibly immature, and it's over 2 pictures. I really don't understand why she cared. I texted my sister that also wanted her pictures, and I said, I will text Kyla. I'll see if she'll give me the pin. I said something along the lines of, hey Kyla, I loved our family session. You did a great job. I was wondering if I could get the pin for this so I can get the pictures from the session. She then responds, I'm paraphrasing, of course. Hey, I'm so glad you like them. I don't want to get in the middle of this. I want to keep a good relationship with all of you. And remember the time I said Bailey didn't sign a contract? Kyla said, I sent the pin to the person I was contracted with. Funny. Said there was no contract. Kind of at a standstill at this point. I'll probably be the only one that upholds my stance on this. Not something I'm just willing to forgive because it's much deeper than the pictures. The manipulation, this power complex. It's very triggering for me. She reminds me a lot of how my dad used to act, which is the because I said so. I'm just not comfortable with that anymore. So until further notice, she is not a part of my life anymore. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Hopefully I didn't scare too many of you away, and I'll see you on the next one.
What's up, guys? Okay, get ready with me while I tell you guys about a girl whose boyfriend added me on Snapchat. Okay, so basically a few months ago, I was literally just laying in bed on my phone, and I went on Snapchat and I went to see who had recently added me. And I have a boyfriend, so since I haven't been adding random guys, random people haven't been adding me because I don't pop up in their suggested, if that makes sense. Anyways, and so I open up my recently added or my friend request, and I see this guy at the top, and I'm like, that's weird. But I was maybe he's one of my boyfriend's friends, or maybe he knows me or something, and that's why he's adding me. So I went to Instagram and looked him up to see if I knew him or we had mutuals. And then literally first thing I see when I pull up his Instagram is his girlfriend, and I was like, oh, ew, that's not cute at all. And I wrestled so much with should I just leave it be? It's not really any of my business. Should I tell the girlfriend? And I was low-key I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was what do I do? And then I made a TikTok about it, and I was guys, this girl's boyfriend added me on Snapchat. Should I tell the girlfriend, or what should I do? And everybody in the comments were yeah, please tell the girlfriend. And I was thinking about it, and I was if I was the girlfriend, I would want somebody to tell me. I would want to know, if that makes sense. And so I was okay, I guess I'll tell her. Okay, I look crazy. I'm trying to blend it off camera because it takes so long. But basically, I found her Instagram, and then I DM'd her, and I was hey girl, my name's Ella, and I just wanted to reach out because your boyfriend recently added me on Snapchat, and I saw that he had a girlfriend. And then I was also if you're comfortable with him adding randoms, I completely understand, I didn't mean to overstep, And then I was just like, but if I was like the girlfriend in this situation, then I would want somebody to tell me. And then she responded to me like right away, and she was like, hey girlie, like thanks so much for telling me. She was like, I completely like do not obviously agree with him adding randoms. And she was like, do you have any proof? I was like, yeah, I do. Let me send you like the screenshot of him adding me. And she was like, I just wish there was like a timestamp of like when he added you so he couldn't like lie about it. And I was like, well, like, has this happened before? Like, I didn't say that, but. And then I was like doing the most. I was like, I can go back and screenshot it and like circle the date and time so that like even if he tries to lie about it, like you could still see that he added, like still had me added till this day, if that makes sense. Mind you, this entire time I'm at work, like trying to focus because I'm a nanny, trying to focus on my kids, and she's like ranting to me about it and like about like past issues, and I'm like sitting there giving her all this advice and like being so nice, giving her everything she needed, like all the proof she needed, while I'm literally like at work. And then this girl goes, hey, so actually I was thinking about it, and is there any chance you could like add him back on Snapchat and like text him something and like see if he replies? And at this point I was just like so like fed up with it already. I was like, this is like just too much. But I was like, sure, like let me talk to my boyfriend and like see if he's comfortable with it, and then like I'll like get back to you. And so I talked to my boyfriend, and he was like, yeah, I guess. He was like, that's kind of weird, but just like keep me updated on like what he says, like what happens. So I add him back at like 6:30 that night, and I was going to church that night, so I like wasn't able to be on my phone like a ton. And I texted him and I was just like, hey, with like 2 Y's because I didn't know what else to say. And then I was texting the girlfriend on Instagram because she had followed me, and I was like, should we like unfollow each other so that he doesn't like see, like if he searches me up, he doesn't see we're following each other on Instagram. And she was like, oh yeah, like good idea. She was like, give me your number so like you can like keep me updated or whatever. So I give her my number, and we're like texting a little bit through the night, and she's like, he doesn't get off work till like 7:15, so like he probably won't be able to respond till like he gets off because his work, like I guess he can't really be on his phone. I don't really know. And then she was like, I'll let you know like once he gets off work. And I was like, okay, well like I'll let you know or like update you if he says anything. Well, then I'm at church, so I'm like not on my phone at all. And it's from like 7:15 to like 8 p.m. And he doesn't say anything, he doesn't open the chat. And then at like, I think it was like 8:15, he opened the chat and he screenshots the chat and sends it to his girlfriend. And she texts me and she's like, he's asking me like who you are, like if I'm friends with you, like if I know you, like all of these questions. And I was literally flabbergasted. I was like, who has a girlfriend and goes on Snapchat and adds a random girl, and then whenever they add you back and say something, you send it to your girlfriend? Like, and I was like still at church, like talking to my friends, whatever. And so I was like, that's so weird, like he added me. But I was like, maybe this is like the end of it, like I'll just let it go. And so I was like trying to help her see the bright side. I was like, well, at least like he didn't lie about it, like about adding me. Like I was like, I hope you guys like figure it out. And she was like, yeah, like no, thank you for telling me everything. She was like, I'm glad like it all got worked out, and like I was just really concerned he would lie about it, like all of this stuff. And then I was like out of church, and so I was like wanting to like follow up and like make sure that they like worked it out, because I was trying to be like a good person. And so I texted her and I was like, hey, like did you guys get like the chance to talk about it? And she was like, yeah, we did. She was like, I sat in the car with him and he said that he must have like somehow done it on accident. Like a lot of times at work he'll be walking around like with his phone just open in his pocket, and he must have just accidentally like clicked add. And I was like, I don't know, something's not adding up. I just wasn't buying it. But I was like, okay girl, like I'm so glad you guys figured it out. I sound so sarcastic right now, but I was like, I'm so glad like you guys figured it out, like, and worked it out. Like I'm so sorry if I like started anything unnecessary. And she was like, no, like thank you, I appreciate you for telling me like all this stuff, like you're so sweet. She kept calling me sister. She was like, thank you sister, appreciate you sister. And I was like, okay. So I was like, maybe that's the end of it, right? No. Well, then I wake up the next morning to a text from her, and she's like, hey girl, like, I'm sorry to bother you, but like, we downloaded this like hacker app where you see like when you add people, when people add you, like all your deleted memories, like all of this stuff. And she was like, and it said he added you like back in 2024. And then, get this, she was like, I'm not really sure if you just like missed his name by chance or if you're just strictly trying to hurt a relationship, but I hope that wasn't the case. And I was like, hello? I was like low-key outraged. I was like, either this girl is getting like lied and gaslit by her boyfriend, or she was just trying to like deflect, and like maybe her boyfriend didn't want like people to like know or something. I don't know. And then I'm trying to remember like everything I said back, but I was like, good morning, like, I don't know what app you guys used, but I'd say apps like that are rarely accurate. I was like, your boyfriend added me sometime within the last few days. Like, if he had added me in 2024, why would he be the top 3 in my recently added? Like, or in people that recently added me. I was like, that just doesn't make any sense. And then I just like went on about like how I was trying to be helpful to her, how I like gave her all the information and like proof that she needed while I was literally at work, and like being so kind to her, giving her all of this advice, blah blah blah. And then I low-key clocked her crap. I was like, I hope like all the truth comes out in like your relationship and anything else he's lying about. And then at the end I was just like, respectfully, I want nothing to do with it anymore, like please don't text me. And I just blocked her number. I was just like so shocked and like in disbelief, because I was like, I was nothing but helpful and like nice to her, and then that's just like how I get repaid. So okay, this is the final look for the makeup because me and my boyfriend are just going to get Mexican. But all of that to say, just ladies, never be so blindsided by a man that you can't see like the obvious signs and proof of like what's true and what's not. Okay, that's all. Thanks for watching.
Things I don't care if my man does in our relationship. To put it into perspective, we've been together for almost 5 years, no breaking up, we didn't take any breaks, and we never really fight. We argue like a normal couple does, but we've never fought. First, I don't care about having his location. I just really don't see the point unless he's gonna be going somewhere that he's unfamiliar with. I don't care about having his location. Next is if he wants to go out or like go to a party or whatever, and I don't go, I don't care if he goes, and I don't care if he's out all night. Like, you can be out as long as you want. Why would I care? Am I your parent? No. And on top of that, if I know there's gonna be girls there, I don't care if he goes still. Usually I'm invited to those things too, but let's say if I don't want to go, I'm not gonna say no, you can't go just because I don't want to go. I feel like that's really selfish. Another thing is I don't care if he needs to give somebody a ride to work, whether it's a boy, a girl, whatever. Like, if they need a ride, they need a ride. And as long as you're cool with driving them, I don't care if you drive them. It's whatever. Also, I feel like a lot of people trip about this, but I do not care if my man follows girls on Instagram. It's not like he goes out of his way to follow like influencers, models, celebrities, none of that. Like, the girls that he'll follow or like he follows are people that we know or like are our same age, whatever. And I don't know, I've just never tripped about that because I also follow guys that I know or that are my age or that I used to be friends with, whatever, and it's not that serious. Another thing is he doesn't have to tell me what he's doing every second of the day. Usually I'll go like my whole day without even talking to him, to be so brutally honest with you, because I'd rather just talk at the end of the day. And there's so many days where like I'll go a bunch of different places and I'll tell him like, oh yeah, I did this today. He's like, damn, you did a lot. Like, yeah, I know. So if I do that, why would I care if he does that? Another thing is I don't care if he's on the game. Like, if we're hanging out, usually he'll ask me like, hey, do you want to do anything? No. If I say no, like, usually I'm just on my phone and like he'll play games or whatever, and we're just hanging out in each other's company doing our own thing, and I feel like that's pretty chill. And on top of that, like, in the middle of it, he'll occasionally ask me like, hey, do you still not want to do anything? Are you chilling? Like, are you happy with what we're doing now? So it's not like he's just not paying me any mind. Like, he'll ask me like, is this okay? Like, or do you want to do something else? Another thing is I don't feel like I have to see him every single day. I just feel like that's kind of unrealistic since we're not living together. We both have our own lives outside of each other, and sometimes life gets busy. So if we're not seeing each other every day, it's chill, honestly. Also, like if a girl or a woman needs help with something, like putting her groceries away or like, holding the door open for them, I don't care if he does that. I actually see it as a good thing because it's like, yeah, my man is polite. I also don't care if he's going to be around girls that I know like him or find him attractive. And the reason is because this man is so oblivious when somebody likes him or finds him attractive. Like, he'll literally have no idea. But on top of that, even if he does know, I know him and he doesn't really ever go out of his way to talk to anybody. Like, he's a very quiet, kept to himself person. And even if he does have to talk to them, like we've talked about it before, like for both of us see cheating as the same thing. Like, cheating is unforgivable. If you want to be with somebody else, just break up with your partner. Why would you go and cheat on them? And plus, like, if anything, I get flattered when I know that people find my man attractive because I'm like, yeah, it's my man. Anyways, that's it. Yeah, I honestly feel very secure in myself and in my relationship, so I don't care about any of those things, and I'm sure there's a whole other list of stuff that I don't care about too, but that's just everything that came to my mind right now.
What's an insane thing a man once asked you to do? I'll go first. When I was 22, I moved to Vegas, freshly out of college. What do you do when you're 22 in a new city? You get on every single dating app imaginable. I think I was 2 weeks into Vegas when I met John on Hinge. John had a video of himself juggling on his Hinge, and I still matched with him. We get on FaceTime the same night that we match. We are talking, we are chatting. He's like, what if you came over? And I was like, yeah, because I have no survival instincts. I went over, we had a fun time. I spent the night, and then John and I just kind of start to click a little bit more. I'm spending a lot of time with him. I'm getting to know him throughout the course of a week, and it's going really well. We do have a lot in common. I really like him. He's like 6'7". He's really sweet, all of these things. But the problem I'm starting to see is that John has a phobia of hair. Okay, something I can live with. It's not that big of a deal. I've met people with weirder phobias. I'm over at John's place one day. I don't want to spend the night there because I don't have like my meds for the night. I don't have a change of clothes for that night. So after spending the whole day at John's place with John, I go home and my place has been broken into and completely trashed. That is a much more complicated story, but I freak out. I call the cops, I call my mom, I call John, and John's calming me down through it all. He comes and he picks me up. He comforts me, all of these different things, because I physically can't be in my place. John and I are becoming extremely close. And I'm like, you know what? I actually really like him. And I've hinted to him a couple different times that I wanted to date him. And he was like, maybe. And so eventually, we were laying in bed one day. We were talking, and he goes, what do you think about cutting all your hair off? I said, what? He said, yeah. Like, not quite a pixie, but pretty short, and thinning it out too. And I said, why would I do that? And he said, I don't like hair. Your hair is a lot. I don't really like it. And I think you'd look better with no hair. And I said, no hair. And he said, no, hold on, not no hair. I don't like bald women. So I feel like it's important for me to tell you that I have a phobia of hair, but I also have a phobia of bald women. Fantastic, John. Thank you for laying all of that out. And I said, I'm not going to cut my hair and I'm not going to thin my hair for you. And he said, okay. And then we're talking some more. And he's like, by the way, I'm not going to date you. And I said, is it because of the hair thing? He said, no, just because you're just not long-term relationship material. And I said, hold on. So you wanted me to cut all of my hair off and still wouldn't date me? Because I wasn't long-term relationship material? He said, well, that's not the only reason. And I said, please do say more. He said, women with blue eyes freak me out. Okay. He said, I haven't made $1 million yet. I said, okay. He said, also, I'm just not ready for a long-term relationship. Like I'm just not ready for it. It's not something I'm at the point in my life for. And I said, whatever. We will just keep doing whatever this is doing. The next day, he met my mother. because my mom flew out to help me. So he had dinner with me and my mom, shook my mom's hand, told my mom how great he thought I was, all of these things. He's like, yeah, I really expect to be seeing a lot of your daughter, all of these lovely things to my mother. When he got home that night, he asked me once again if I would reconsider cutting off my hair, and I said no. I pay several $100s a year for my hair. This is one of my favorite features about myself. I'm not going to cut my hair off for you. He said, well, would you at least consider thinning it? And I said, I'm not going to thin my hair for a man that won't date me. And he said, fine, whatever. I spent a couple more days with my mom. She leaves. I am headed over to John's place for a date. He calls me. I'm on my way there. He goes, hey, Jess. I'm like, hey, what's up? Like, I'm on my way. We lived like 10 minutes apart. You know, I was 8 minutes into this 10-minute drive. I'm like, hey, I'm about to pull up to the gate. And he's like, so actually don't come over. And I said, what do you mean don't come over? And he said, I started dating somebody today. You what? You have spent every day over the last 2 or 3 weeks with me, and you were dating somebody else after telling me that you're not ready for a relationship? You know what I asked him instead? I asked him how long her hair was. And he said, it's about down to her butt. Remember, this man asked me to cut my whole head of hair off. And I said, that's great. Fuck you. Goodbye. Blocked John on everything. Didn't hear from him for a really long time. And then I forgot I didn't block him on my Instagram. So a couple months later, when he slid into my Instagram DMs, after like breaking up with this girl who he only dated her because she told him she wouldn't unless they were dating. And he said, you know what? Yeah, that's fantastic. I like you more than Jess anyways. Crazy work. John came into my DMs. I saw his profile picture, and John was bald. So yeah, never cut your hair for a man, ladies.
I got fired after working for 2 hours because of my posture. Disclaimer before I start on Storytime that I am not trying to destroy any companies. I am just stating my experience and what bothered me. And important to note, I am dressed in head to toe all black because I had an interview right after my shift at this dog daycare. I got hired at a dog daycare, by the way. And at first everything was fine. We had orientation, and that was like for the first hour, and she just talked about the rules, how you treat the dogs, and everything, and it was like a good, understandable thing. I'm not gonna lie, I was fidgeting a little bit. Like, I was nervous for my interview after, and I skin pick a lot, so, and like do that, and my finger bled a little. I washed it immediately as soon as I can. It was literally this finger, and all was fine, or at least I thought so. Throughout the orientation, I'm very receptive. This isn't my first job, so I'm obviously asking a lot of questions as many as I can so I don't mess up. But I did. I mentioned that I was from Staten Island, and she pulled me aside after the orientation, and she was like, can you really commit to this job? Because if you can't, like, it's better that you leave now. And I told her, oh, I do this commute all the time for, like, high school. Like, it's really not a problem. I'm very used to it. She says, okay, but you sound so scared. And I was like, no, I asked to be early. My question was, could I come earlier? If you live in Staten Island, you get it. Because, like, the commute time is in 30-minute intervals. And she was like, okay, I trust you. So we go downstairs to meet the dogs, and I'm not gonna lie, I would not bring my dog there. I would not bring Tofu there. It was a basement of open room, and I was like, okay, this is not, like, terrible, but there were dogs in corners hiding. Like, they were scared. Like, they were huddled up in a corner. And I was like, this does not look like healthy dog behavior. Obviously, some dogs were playing. And mind you, this was a basement closed area. And when all of them barked, it was just overstimulating for me and most definitely for the dogs. I also saw some dogs pacing, like, just back and forth, like, and there was absolutely no room to step. Like, I was, like, low-key almost stepping on dogs. There was one room, and then they did have an open area, but none of the dogs knew to go in there. So they were all just cramped in one room, and there were like around like 30 to 40 dogs. So the task at hand is to explore the room, just to feel it. You're not allowed to pet the dogs, you're not allowed to like say hi to them or anything, and I understand that, like, you don't want to rile them up. And I'm walking just with my arms crossed like this, like not trying to give the dogs attention. And after that, they were assigning tasks and everything. And the whole time, she doesn't ask what task I wanted. She didn't ask like, oh, what are you good at? Like, what do you like? She gave everyone their roles and told me to go upstairs. Then she told me, I gotta talk to you. She sat me down and she was like, I don't think you're a good fit for this job. And I was like, could you explain why in like the most professional way possible, because this is still a work environment. She said, you're fidgeting a lot. And I was like kind of like hands in lap, kind of fidgeting with my ring, because it's fidgeting. It's the first 2 hours of the job. And so I stopped fidgeting, and she was like, you're trying really hard not to fidget. And I was like, you told me not to. And then she was like, I told you to uncross your arms. And I was like, yeah, and I did. And she was like, no, you didn't. And I was like, there are other people also with their arms crossed. I don't think like my posture is like the worst thing. Like, it's been 2 hours. I've been working this job 15 years. I've owned this daycare for 15 years. And I can tell when someone's not fit for a job. And I asked her as politely as I can, like, can you tell me the truth? Like, is there anything actually wrong that I'm doing? Because I think like you commenting on my posture and body language is not the biggest issue. And she just said, you don't fit the vibe. You're gonna make the dogs anxious and you're a liability to their safety. Maybe me and my bad posture isn't the thing causing them anxiety. Maybe it's the closed, echoing basement that's causing these dogs stress. I told her that I've only been here for 2 hours. Is there any way you can let me finish my shift? I have like 2 more hours left. And she was like, no, you gotta leave. And I was so confused. I was like, you want me to go now? Like, there's no even like not a second chance. And she said, no, you gotta go. And I was like, what? I interviewed for this job. Mind you, half the workers were high schoolers. I'm a college student. And these high schoolers do not have zit experience with a dog. So I got fired after working for 2 hours at a dog daycare because of my posture, apparently.
I quit my job after 100 different reasons. I made a list and I'm gonna share some of my favorite ones. I was babysitting for a family, and I was also babysitting along like 5 other babysitters. They had babysitters there 24/7 overnight. I was there with another babysitter, and there was always someone new. I'm gonna start off with, I was starting at 8 and I walked in at 8:01. And as soon as I walked in, the mom was like, was there traffic? My dumbass was like, no, why? She's like, I would give yourself more buffer time next time. Then going along with that one, the one time I got there like 10 minutes early, and obviously I wasn't going in early. So I sat in my car for like 5 minutes, and then I still came in 5 minutes early. As soon as I walk in, they're like, you know, if you get here early, you can just come in. You don't have to sit in your car. They're like, we were so confused we saw you out there. Then that same day, as soon as I walk in, the mom gives me like 3 things to do as soon as I get there. She's like, if you could do the laundry, the dishes, and something else. So I start off with the laundry. Then she comes over 30 seconds later and she's like, well, see, if I were you, I would have started with the dishes, because I just like don't like having dirty dishes in my sink. And along with the dishes, you know, you wash your dishes and then you flip them upside down on the drying rack. Apparently not. Apparently I'm an idiot. Got a whole scientific lesson
in a rude way, being like, well, you know, the air needs to get in, so you have to flip it on its side. I accidentally flipped it all the way up like 2 weeks later, and she's like, do you not remember our conversation? Toilet seat lid. I sound like a fucking frat guy. I left the lid up, not the seat, the lid. I didn't shut the bathroom door. I got yelled at for that multiple times. And she even made the little kid come up to me and be like, put the seat down. They had another babysitter there that was like in med school or something. They gave me an option to work overtime, and I didn't want to, clearly, for these reasons. So she's talking to the parents, saying like, yeah, I'm working like 6 12-hour shifts or something. I'm in the other room. The dad's like, Kirsten, did you hear that? I literally just pretended I didn't hear it. Then they keep talking, like the conversation passes. He goes, Kirsten, did you hear that? Says it again. I say to the girl, I'm like, congrats, like that's really cool, good for you. He's trying to jab at me for not wanting to work fucking 12 hours. Same night, both the parents were busy, so I started brushing the kids' teeth for him. The dad's like, do you know how to do that? I was like, I don't know, I have my own teeth, so yeah. Here's one of my favorite from the day I quit. I have this nighttime nanny that is there 7 days a week. She's like a sweet old lady, like she's kind of goofy, but like she's sweet. Mom hates her and always talks shit on her, and I just be like, okay. I already know the second I walk out of this room, you're talking shit on me too, so. In the morning, older lady babysitter was holding the one baby and like kissed her cheek. And the mom texted me after and she's like, could you wipe down the baby's face like after she was kissing her? This lady is watching your kid. Why are you like being so disrespectful? That's just my nightmare of a babysitting job. I really wasn't even supposed to babysit for this family. I was supposed to work in the dad's office. I wasn't expecting this video to blow up, and now I'm low-key scared because these people are crazy, but I'm gonna do a part 2. Like, I don't want to completely shit on them because she was nice sometimes. I stayed in this job way too long. I was miserable. I was so scared of these people that I didn't want to quit. There's this one specific babysitter that I was always with from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Me and this girl were the same age. We worked together all the time. We became friends. Like, they were nicer to her because they knew that they needed her. Like, they knew that I wasn't staying long term. Like, the mom would talk shit on me to my friend. Me and this girl are still friends. It has nothing to do with her. But she would talk shit on me to her, and then she would tell me the girl was sick one week, and I literally did every single thing that the mom asked that the girl normally did when she's there. Like, she comes back and the mom's like, oh my god, thank god you're back. Like, I forget how much you do. Like, Kirsten didn't do anything. The day that I quit, I was there with 2 other nannies. Me, the 2 other nannies, and the mom was like in and out of the house. The oldest kid's napping, and the 2 babies were like feeding and they're napping. The mom says she's gonna run some errands, and it's like 2 o'clock, and the kid wakes up from his nap at 3. So I'm like, if you're not gonna be back in time, like, just let me know and I'll wake him up. And she's like, okay, I'll let you know. It's like 3:02, I just get done with the one baby. And I'm like, do you want me to wake him up from his nap? Any other family, it wouldn't be this deep, but this mom is so specific that I knew that she would want to wake him up if she could. I get busy doing something else. It's like 3:15 and I'm getting nervous, and I question the text. She answers back so nicely. She's like, oh yeah, he's not up already. Like, if you could wake him up, that'd be great. I'm on my way home. I'm with the one baby, so I asked the other babysitter, can you go up and wake him up for me, please? Then he comes down and like he wants to play. Baby's on my lap and the mom is fucking watching the cameras, and she texts me and she's like, did he not want to like lay on the couch with you? She's like, did you ask him? And I'm like, fuck, I didn't really ask him because he wanted to play. I literally think nothing of this. She walks in the door, literally like slams the door, and she's like, so you just like forgot about him? I'm so caught off guard. I'm like, what? She's like, you forgot to wake him up from his nap. You told me specifically that you were gonna wake him up. I tried to like explain myself. I was like, no, you told me you would let me know. She's just like screaming at me in front of these 2 other babysitters. Said like, oh, I was confused because you told me that you would let me know. And she's like, you're always confused. And she like walks by the kid and like mumbles under her breath. She's like, I can't believe I let you alone with them. She is mumbling under her breath again, and she's like, just as I stopped controlling you. And I'm like, at this point, I had like 2 hours left, and I'm just going back and forth. Like, do I just walk out? Do I yell back at her and leave? Like, I was like, I don't know what to do. Still in shock about all this. The other 2 babysitters are coming up to me. They're like, are you okay? Like, I'm so sorry. Like, you did nothing wrong. The one, it was her first week there. And the other girl told me that she was planning on leaving soon too. By the time I left, the mom was being nice again, like trying to make light of it and like saying some jokes about it. And I'm like, see, never. I was too much of a little bitch
to quit. So then I went home. Later that night, I was like, hey, I'm not coming back. That was so disrespectful. I've never been talked to like that. And she responds like, after today, I was expecting apology, but I'm not surprised. Honestly, feel like I have so many more stories. These people are in Savannah. Sounds like something that you're looking into. Just don't do it and DM me and I will confirm if it's them or not, because I promise you no one wants to babysit for them. For the parents, the kids were great, honestly. You do any of these things, I cannot fucking stand you. Also, get ready with me and ignore my hair because I have to do my makeup. Starting off strong is sexist people. I cannot stand it. I don't care if you're a man, a woman, a turtle. I don't care who you are. If you're sexist, it gets on my last nerves. And that's with men or women. Like, oh, a man's supposed to be doing this, a woman's supposed to be doing that. Get out of my face. Like, there is no way in hell that you're sitting here telling me that I can't do something because I'm a girl or because I'm a woman or this, that, and the third. Like, no. Or the way that you're talking about anybody else that can't do something because they might be a man or a woman. Get out of my face. I feel like this kind of goes along with it, but people who feel like abortion should be illegal or like it should be banned or something, especially men, because first of all, you don't even have a uterus to be having an opinion on this subject, so I'm gonna need you to step out of the room, buddy. What gets me the most is that there's very few women, I will say very few, that do agree that abortion should be banned, and I'm like, girl, why? Do you not, is there something not clicking up there? Because do you not understand that anything could happen and now you're stuck? Like, I know that that sounds bad saying it that way, but you've got to think about situations and things like that. Like, not everybody's situation is the same, and there's a lot of people that could possibly pass away if they have a child. Now, I feel like that's nobody's opinion but the person who's going through that. Like, you can't tell anybody what to do in that situation because it's not you, and you should shut the fuck up about it. Why is this even a topic? Like, why, bro, why is this a thing? I don't understand. Those were the first two. I think this is number 3. People who don't watch their kids, bro, should have been number 1 because it pisses me off more than anything in the whole world. It doesn't matter where I go. I could be anywhere and there's some child running around without their parent. And it could be of any age too. I've literally seen a 4, I'm pretty sure it was 4. I hope it was at least 4 because that kid looked 3. Could have been. There's literal babies running around by themselves now. And I'm like, do y'all not understand how dangerous the world is? Like, if it was the 80s, maybe still, okay? Yeah, I could understand because it's like the 80s. But bitch, it's not the fucking 80s. It is not the 80s if you don't get your kid. I can't tell you how many times I've been in public and I've been like at a pool, like a public pool or something, and been sitting there watching somebody's child. I don't know you or your kid. I don't. I have no idea who either of y'all are, and I'm sitting here watching your kid because who knows where you are. And then these kids be disrespectful as hell and their parents want to sit here and wonder why, and it's because you've shoved a screen in their face since before they were a year old and you've had nothing to do with them literally ever, and they don't understand social skills. They don't know how to read the room or communicate. Like, they don't know how to tell you how they're feeling. They don't know how to understand how other people are feeling. Are you really sitting here trying to figure out why your kid doesn't have... Come on now. 4, people who post up with rugs and they think it's cute. I'm not saying it on TikTok because I don't need any violations, okay? But y'all know what I mean, okay? If you know, you know. People who post up with that kind of shit and they think it's cute, like Coke and all that other stuff, baby, no. We're not doing that. I understand gardening, okay? A little bit of here and there, but no. That other shit, baby... You're broke because you're spending all of your money on it, okay? And you don't look good. I'm sorry, you don't. If you look at the pictures of you while you're sitting there feeling good, you don't look good, darling. I'm not talking about junkies, like people who can't help it, people who are in completely different situations. Like, no. I'm talking about people that are my age, that do the shit because they think it's cute and they think it's fun. Like, no. You're gonna end up actually addicted and it's not gonna be cute and fun anymore. I need you to quit. Number 5, and I feel like this one kind of goes along with the last one that I said, but people who like peer pressure, and it goes along with it in a weird way because people will be doing shit, and it could be anything, drinking, drugs, smoking, literally doesn't matter what it is, and peer pressure you. And I'm not saying everybody, but there's definitely those folks out there who will look at you and be like, come on, bro, if you don't quit talking to me right now because I will actually fly across this table, like, no, I said no. Matter of fact, I'm leaving, and I'm gonna drag you out of the building with me because you think you're cute and you think you're funny. No, we're leaving, both of us, let's go. Number 6, people who support Trump at this point, and what I mean by that is there was a point in time back when he first ran when everybody was like, oh, well, you can't let politics ruin your friendships and your relationships and da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey, yeah, whatever, cool, completely understand that. I was trying to ignore that man back then, wasn't really my business, you know. I paid attention to politics as much as I needed to know who I needed to vote for and to know what was going on, and I still do, but I just kind of ignored the situation. I was like, whatever, he's our president, I guess I have to deal with it, whatever. Now,
At this point in time, now that everything's come out about this man and we know that he's been doing these diabolical ass things, like, he's done unspeakable things to minors, mind you. He's committed unspeakable crimes to minors. 9 times out of 10 they were minors. I know that not all of them were, but that doesn't give him any credit anywhere. Bro, we know that he's done these awful things. We see the stuff that he posts. We hear what he says. We know his opinion on this country and on people and women specifically. His opinion on women drives me insane. And yeah, I guess it's because I'm a woman, but I promise you if I was a man, I wouldn't be very fond of this either. Somebody please explain to me why now, at this point, they think it's a good idea to be supporting this man. And when I listen to the people who do support him, like, if they do say anything, if I ever am around somebody who supports him, it doesn't make sense. Anything they say about him doesn't have any logic behind him. Number 7, people who don't brush their teeth. I'm sorry, babe. Hygiene's a big thing for me in general, but brushing your teeth, I can't. And I'm not talking about people who, like, can't because of their mental health and things like that. Okay, that's understandable to an extent. To an extent. You still need to be brushing them. I'm not going to get on your ass and be like, you need to be brushing them things 3 times a day. Like, okay, I understand. But you still need to be brushing them, babe. They shouldn't be rotting away. They shouldn't. And that's what blows me is people will be my age, okay? And they just don't brush their teeth. I'm like, why? Why? I can smell your breath, honey. I can. I know you ain't brushed your teeth. Brush them. I cannot stand the feeling of dirty teeth when I wake up in the morning. And I think part of it is because I had braces and I wear retainers now. Even when I had my braces, I could not stand not brushing my teeth. It was even worse when I had my braces. It was, I hated it. I couldn't because I had metal in my mouth and everything that I ate got caught in it. No. If I hurt your feelings when I say any of this, by the way, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you, baby girl. This is just my opinion. Number 8, which this one might sound kind of weird because I just judged a whole bunch of people who I know for sure don't brush their teeth. But people who judge people for their living situation. Before I get into that, I don't want to say I'm judging people who don't brush their teeth because I'm definitely not judging you, but it's just kind of like, do you want a toothbrush kind of situation? Like, I'm not going to be mean to you about it, but I can definitely smell your breath and I'm going to offer you a toothbrush or gum or mint or something. But I'm not going to sit there and talk shit to you. You know what I mean? But what I'm talking about is different because people will literally sit there and talk shit about somebody's living situation knowing that they can't help it. It's different if they can help it, okay? If you're a grown adult and you have a hoarder house and you did that yourself and you can clean it yourself and you refuse not to, that's nasty. But babe, how are you going to sit there and talk about your friend when y'all are in school because their house is gross? You know that they can't help that. That's their parents' mess. They can't do anything about it. Even people now who are struggling to live in this economy and don't have a roof over their head or are living in their car or couch hopping, whatever, why are you judging them? Why are you not offering to help them? Because do y'all comprehend how expensive things are in this economy now? Because it's not a little $150 you can go fill your house up with groceries, okay? This is not the 70s anymore. But stuff is expensive and people are struggling and I don't understand why we're judging people for struggling. Number 9, ungrateful ass people. I cannot stand people who are ungrateful. This falls under pretty much any category, like children. If your mom is buying you something and you're complaining because it's the wrong color, girl, she bought it for you. Why are you bitching and complaining? I don't understand. Or like girls who will be in relationships with their partner and they'll be like, oh, well, he took me here for dinner, but I wanted to go here. Y'all still ate, didn't you? Unless you're allergic to what he took you to go eat, why are you bitching? People like that are just so negative, and I think that's what I can't stand is the negativity, because why are you sitting there being like that? Can't you just be grateful and look around and be happy about the little things that you got? And 9 times out of 10, too, it'd be the most stuck-up bitches that literally already have everything that they need, everything that they want, and they just got shit on their little wish list that they've been asking for, and finally they get it, and all of a sudden it's not the right size or right color. Like, girl, I'm gonna need you to grow the hell up. I really am. There's people out here dying. Kim, there's people dying. Anyways, that's it. That's all. I just have to do my lip combo now, so I'll do that and be right back. Alright, that's it. That's all. Fit check, I guess. I'll see y'all later. Mwah.
So I was put in a very dangerous situation by my Uber driver that did not finish the ride with me today and left me stranded. I'm sorry, it's just been very emotional for me. He left me stranded at a very busy intersection where the cars are driving 3 different directions and the train tracks were there. Let me explain. First of all, I want to show you and I want to expose this person to you because I really hope nobody will ever have to experience something like this. This is his name. His name is Antonellis. I don't know if I can, I don't think I can, show you his face. If you are in a North Jersey area, right, Paramus, New Milford, Oradell, Richfield Park, make sure if you take any Ubers, you don't take this guy, okay? If you see this name and you see this face, please make sure you cancel the ride and request somebody else. So originally I wanted to take the Uber that is exclusive for women, and I requested it and it was busy. So they gave me an option to choose an Uber X, which I did, because I was already late to work. If you guys don't know, North Jersey experienced one of the craziest storms, and a lot of people, including me, had no power for 2.5 days. And I work from home. So just because I had no power, I couldn't work from home. My manager requested me to come into the office. Office is located 20 minutes away from my house, and today I didn't have a car. My husband couldn't take me, he was at work, so I took an Uber. Uber was $26, which was fine. Money was a problem. All I wanted is to get to my job safely without any issues. I don't know how to explain it correctly. So basically the office is located like across the train tracks, right? And there's this like area in northern Jersey. Those train tracks are dedicated for like very long trains, like they're logistic trains, right? They're very long, and there's 2 passages. There's 3 passages that I now know, but I knew at the time, I know of 2 passages to go through, across the train tracks. But sometimes, and it's a very inconvenient, but there's no other way for me to get to work. Sometimes those trains, they were the logistic trains that go through those train tracks, on those train tracks, they're very long, and they can block the main passage through the train tracks and the second one that I knew, right? So this was exactly the case today. I only knew these 2 passages, and I told my Uber driver, there's the main one, let's go to the main one. The main one was blocked, so we went to the second one. The second one's also blocked. And those trains, they stop, and I guess they bring product, like, again, it's logistics, so they bring product, and I guess they stay there for rest, or I don't know what's the reason that they stay there, but they do. So they sometimes block those passages for cars to go to the other side. In order for me to get to my job, I had to go past the train tracks, and I couldn't because it was blocked. So my Uber driver, the one that I showed you before, he started mumbling something like he was like, why did I take this ride? Why did I accept this ride? This and this and that. So he stopped at this, like, where the second passage through the train tracks located. He stopped and he was like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, I don't know. What do you want me to do? Like, what can I do? And he's like, what do you want me to do? I don't know. He started like mumbling again, saying something like, oh, this and this, that. I was trying to figure it out, like what to do. He started like pressuring me to finish the ride by saying that, like, my time is money, I love my money. That's exactly what he was saying. And I'm like, okay, can I have 5 minutes? Can you give me 5 minutes? Can we wait for 5 minutes until maybe hopefully the train moves? The second 5 minutes passed, he's like, okay, it's been 5 minutes. He was like already being like giving me an attitude and started yelling at me. And I was frustrated. There's a lot of things that have been happening lately. I've been worried with a lot of stuff. We didn't have, because of the power outage, we didn't have power for 2.5 days. My fridge, the food there destroyed. I have 2 cats. It was very humid in the house. It was very hot and humid in the house. So I was worried that my cat's gonna suffocate because it was really hot. So I had a lot, there was a lot on my mind. So the least thing I needed is for this Uber ride to go the way that it went. So he was just pressuring me and yelling at me, saying that this and this and that, like, oh, talking about his money and like, that he needs to accept other drive or like other people and this and this and that. I couldn't handle it anymore. I didn't say anything to him. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna leave. So I opened the door. He was yelling something behind my back. I didn't even realize. I started to be scared, and I froze with fear, and I didn't say anything. I couldn't say a word. I was on my phone. I was calling my husband. My husband was at work, so he didn't answer the first 2 times. He answered the third time. I texted him saying that he's yelling at me and this and this and that. So he calls me, and I start hysterically crying. I'm like, I got out of the car, and he made a U-turn, and he was yelling through the window, the Uber driver. He's like, it's not my fault, and he left. And he saw, the crazy thing, that he saw the train just started moving, but he was still there. He made a U-turn, and he was still there. I was hoping maybe he could, complete the ride. Before I could cancel the ride and get his phone number so I can call him later and tell him what I think of him and the way that he handled the situation, he completed the ride as if he completed the whole ride and as if he took me to my final destination, which he didn't. He left me halfway, stranded at a very busy intersection when it comes to cars. Cars were coming from 3 different directions, and in front of me I had to pass that intersection, and then I had to pass the train tracks, which was very scary. Cars were driving next to the train tracks to the train after the train was coming. It was just very scary. So I called my husband. He was like, okay baby, like, it's gonna take some time for me. Like, I was already late to work, and he was like, it's gonna take some time for me to come there, pick you up, and take you. Like, do you want me to do this? And I'm like, okay, let me just like call the customer service of Uber and see what they can do. So I reported him for, he dropped me off of a very dangerous, like, that area is like a little bit isolated when you pass the train tracks. So like it's very hard to move on foot there. It's dangerous, and it's hard to move on foot because there's like this very tiny narrow road for one car that should pass, like, and I was just walking there because I had no other way to get to work. Okay, so I had no choice but to walk there. Cars were driving. Like, it was just a very unsafe area to be on foot. I called the customer service, saying that that driver put me in danger, and they said, I was hysterical. I was crying. I couldn't stop. Sorry, Phoenix. I couldn't stop crying on the phone to the representative. She's like, I'm so sorry this happened to you. Let me connect you to our something department. I'm not sure, like a security department, something like that. Like, there was some kind of department that takes these kind of reports. And I was crying on the way to work. I was like, how can somebody do this? Like, why would you leave a woman stranded at a very isolated area? Because the area was there, like, they're mostly warehouses, right? So I can't believe this happened. I was very scared. I just really hope you guys never experience something like this, and Uber, do better. Thank you. If you guys have any questions, please ask me. If you guys have, is there any confusion? I'm sorry if I couldn't put my words, together. It was very scary, and I just, at some point I'd even blacked out for a little bit because I was like, I couldn't understand, like, why would somebody do that? Like, would he do that to his daughter or to his wife, leave her stranded without,
I am a mom to a 1.5-year-old who really, really wanted 2 under 2. I just want my kids close in age. And I unfortunately miscarried at 10 weeks, 2 weeks ago, and had to have a DNC surgery because my body didn't realize that I had miscarried. And I wanted to share my experience with the DNC because I was so nervous, and all of the options suck when you miscarry. You either pass it naturally, you take a pill to help you pass it naturally, or you have a D&C. Those are my options. And I had already miscarried once before I had my daughter, and passed it naturally. I just didn't want to do that again. That was miserable. And I was much further along than I was when I had my first miscarriage. And so I was really scared of passing it at home naturally. So I opted for the D&C and was still super nervous for that. So I wanted to share my experience and my recovery. I went back and forth on whether or not I would share because it's obviously super personal and I've been super emotional, but I'm doing better, much better recovery-wise and emotions. When I did decide to go through with the D&C, I ran to TikTok and I looked up videos of people's experience. So I kind of want to add my experience to hopefully help someone who unfortunately has to go through the same thing. It sucks and it's super, super hard. We found out that our baby didn't have a heartbeat just at our normal 10-week appointment, went in expecting to hear the heartbeat, and then got the horrible, devastating, heartbreaking news. And they basically kind of gave me my options right then and there at the appointment. And I was not ready to decide. So I told them I wanted to take a day to think about it. I was so nervous. I was so devastated, and still processing. It was shocking. I had already miscarried with my first pregnancy, and that, they say is super common. And so I kind of was like, okay, I got that out of the way. I was shocked and not expecting to miscarry after I'd already had my daughter. I just thought that it happens a lot the first time, but then after you start having kids, your body knows how to do it. So I was shocked and really struggled processing just the fact that I was miscarrying. I decided that I just didn't want to put my body through passing it naturally, and there was still a chance because my body really did not recognize that I had miscarried. My body didn't realize that my baby wasn't alive anymore, and so there was a chance that I was going to have the D&C anyways. They basically said I could wait a week to see if I passed it, but I had no cramping, no bleeding. I still felt pregnant, and so I just didn't want to wait and put myself through the misery of the in-between. I just wanted to try and move past it, which made me cry every time I said move on or move past or get over it. It would make me cry because I always want to honor my little baby and I don't ever want to move on. I decided to go with the D&C for all of those reasons. And we scheduled it for that Friday, so I went in on a Monday and then the D&C got scheduled on a Friday, so I had kind of a week to think about it and prepare, and I was so nervous. I knew it was outpatient, I knew that I'd be intubated, and it just seemed really scary, and it's going to seem scary no matter what I tell you. My surgery was scheduled at the end of the day. It was the last surgery for my doctor, which sucked because I had to fast and I had to stop eating at midnight the night before. So I was so hangry all day. It was really nice. My sister ended up being in town and we just went shopping and spent the morning together, and it helped a lot to be distracted and not thinking about the surgery or the fact that I was starving. I had to get to the hospital an hour and a half before the scheduled surgery, and when we showed up, my doctor was 2 hours behind, which was awesome because I was starving and sad and scared. Brought me up to kind of the room that you're in before you go to the OR, which that was scary too. I had never had surgery of any kind, and so the idea of an OR freaked me out. But they got me in the room, my husband was able to come up with me, and they got the IV in, and then I just waited for 2.5 hours with an IV in my hand, and we brought my husband's iPad, and we watched The Office, and we took a nap. I was just trying to stay busy or distracted and not just sit there and cry. During that waiting time, I saw a nurse and my doctor came in once to talk to us, and then the anesthesiologist. So we had people kind of coming in while we were waiting. They're finally ready for me. My husband had to go to a waiting room. They put the cap on me and wheeled me to the OR. It was just really nerve-wracking. Like, I knew it was a very minor surgery. The whole production of it is pretty scary, and you're just sad. Like, it's not a routine thing to you. It's so life-changing. Wheeled me in. There were 2 nurses waiting for me and the anesthesiologist, and like right away they kind of talked to me for a little bit. They like laid my arms out and they started the anesthesia. My nurses were so sweet and just kept saying like, we're gonna take care of you, we're gonna take care of you. And that was like the last thing I heard before I fell asleep, and then woke up after. My husband was right there. We were in the like post-op room, and I was super groggy, definitely emotional, but not really in any pain yet. The surgery itself was like 30 minutes. My doctor said I lost quite a bit of blood, but nothing like concerning. My husband was still concerned. And then they put me in a wheelchair and wheeled me to the car. My husband pulled it around, and that was that. I left the hospital, no longer pregnant. Recovery has really sucked. I feel like recovery after having a baby is crappy, but you have a little newborn to make it all worth it, and this sucked for obvious reasons. I bled a ton the first week, and finally just went in to check on everything because I was feeling really not good, and my doctor checked everything, took out some clots, and after the checkup I passed a bunch of blood clots, which is like super TMI, but it does happen and it hurts and it's painful. It was like more painful than a period, but it's also painful emotionally, and so it was the worst week ever. My daughter's waking up from her nap. It's also hard because the first time I had a miscarriage, I didn't have my little daughter, and this time I did, so I had to take care of a human. I couldn't just lay in bed all day. I have the best in-laws ever who did help a lot and came and picked up my daughter. I do think that was so important, was just letting my body rest. Like, it felt like I could still function, and obviously I could. I wasn't bedridden, but my body had gone through a lot, and I think it was important to just force myself to take it easy. I've been 2 weeks and the bleeding has minimized a lot. I'm no longer cramping, and I'm just doing a lot better. Obviously still sad, obviously still struggling. I have no idea when I'm gonna want to start trying again, because this one has really taken a toll both physically and emotionally. Just grateful for my husband, grateful for my daughter, and grateful for a body that is so tough, that can experience all of this and bounce back and eventually bring more babies into the world. I hope this was helpful, and I'm so sorry if you are currently going through this.
Well, I just got out of work, and it turns out that my solo date to the nude beach story, now everybody knows that I went, so there's that. So let me break it down for you. Let me give you a picture so that you can understand exactly what happened that day, because I also see comments of people know this Frisbee guy, okay? The Frisbee guy, he must be there every day with his Frisbee, looking for someone to play Frisbee with them. Clearly everyone there is a frequent flyer too. Again, I was very much like in there, like the nudist community space. Like, I was an outsider walking in on something that was clearly established. A lot of people there seem to know each other, seem to know details about each other, their families, who's divorced, who's got kids, like whatever. And I was just like, hey, like, yeah, I didn't really want to join the friend group or anything, but I was just like an observer who was then being observed. I started out, with my backpack on. I had my picnic blanket in it and whatever, and you walk and you walk and you walk, and it's just like plants and a path, right? So you're walking, and then finally I see the first person, and there's this guy sitting on his beach chair. He's got an umbrella over him, and he's sprawled out, okay? No clothes on, and he's got glitter. He replaced his swim trunks with glitter, which, listen, I didn't even look, but when he said hello, because he was like, hi, and I was like, oh my God, I wish I had an invisible cloak on right now. I did turn and I noticed the glitter. You can't miss the glitter, whether you're looking or not. Anyways, so then I set up my stuff, and I pull out my journal, and I just start journaling all my intrusive thoughts, right? I'm uncomfortable, what the heck? I take my top off, woo, I'm trying to feel like free and liberated, but I'm panicking. Okay, so I'm panic writing in my journal, and I'm like it's fine, no one's noticing you, and this is part of exposure therapy, and yada yada. Then all of a sudden, it's like the sun gets blocked. Like, literally imagine the sun's like shining on me, and all of a sudden I'm like, who the heck could be talking to me right now? Who could be near me? Because I did not park my stuff near anybody, okay? And I see this guy, granted, I need to show you a visual here so that you can really understand, okay? I'm on the floor. I'm on, not the floor, the ground, the sand. I'm laying on the sand. And there's a guy standing over me, okay? My POV to look up at someone is crazy, okay? So he starts talking to me. He's like, hey, like, you know, blah, blah, blah. You come here often. I don't know what he said, okay? Some small talk. And then we start talking. And this guy, although everyone was like 70 plus years old, this guy was probably in his late 30s, okay? And I'm like, of course this guy comes up to me. So we're talking for a second. And then he pops a squat. Are you understanding what I'm saying? No clothes on as a man popping a squat. And we end up talking for like a minute or two more, and then he just bare on the sand. The sand is piping hot too. I even said to him, hey, you want to like sit on my towel? I mean, I don't know, like, again, like, maybe I'm just like too nice sometimes, but whatever. So there was that guy. Then I told him I'm gonna keep journaling, whatever. Then old man number one comes up to me. Mr. Friendly, have you met this one, that one? Oh, I know this guy and that guy and blah, blah, blah. We come here all the time and whatever. And yeah, well, obviously. And then the Frisbee guy comes up. And the Frisbee guy comes up with this Frisbee. He's like, hey, you want to play Frisbee? I'm like, no, I'm okay. Like, I'm good. He's like, I'll circle back around to you later. Then old man number one, we're going to call him Tea Time, okay? Because he seemed to know everybody's business, all right? This guy in this community, he knows everybody's business and he's not afraid to yap about it. So he's talking to me, and then another old guy comes up and he's like, oh, by the way, like, I'm a chiropractor if you need a massage. And I was like, I'm okay. Listen, I'm nice. I'm not that nice. Listen, Linda, I might be giving you a free show. You could look, but you cannot touch. That's for sure. So I was like, I'm good. Then he walks away, and Mr. Tea Time was like, oh, that guy? Yeah, he lost his chiropractor license because he was actually doing something he wasn't supposed to do with his... And I'm like, what did I just step into? I literally felt like I stepped into like a TV show, right? I was like, no, this isn't real, right? Then, okay, whatever. This guy, Mr. Tea Time, goes away, and I'm like alone for a second. Frisbee guy comes back. Hey, you ready to play Frisbee? Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm not really athletically. I'm actually good. He's like, you look at... I'm like, so funny. I'm good. Whatever. He walks away. Tea Time comes back. He's like, and he says super loud, is that guy bothering you? Is that guy bothering you? Because if he is, you could come for... Dude. And then the guy turns around and he's like, because he's always making girls feel uncomfortable on this beach and whatever, starts freaking out. Okay, then Mr. Frisbee guy is a sicko and whatever. And I'm like, oh my God. And then in my head, I'm like, genuinely, you're all bothering me. Like, to call a spade, I don't want to talk to any of you, okay? Everyone's trying to tell me, like, I'm the nice guy, but watch out for these creeps. I cannot tell you how many times that day I had an old man come up to me and tell me, hey, I come in peace, like, I'm just here. Watch out for these guys, though, you know. Oh my God, be original, at least. I'm like, you low-key all are creeping on me. Like, let's be so for real. I'm the youngest girl on this beach. Well, what else? What are you gonna talk to me about? You like my backpack or something? You wanna know what I'm journaling about? Like, what is it? So everyone's like claiming that they're not a creep. And then finally, like, then he's calling him out, saying that he's a sicko and whatever. And then they start arguing. So clearly they've got like history here. Like, there's beef brewing. And I'm just naked and afraid. Like, I'm just like, what is happening right now? So then everybody like goes off, and that's when I decide, like, okay, we're gonna take the draws off. And whatever, I'm like left alone finally, like 20 minutes, like all by myself. And so I put my little shell on and I'm taking little cute pictures. And then I hear Then I hear my name. Hey, Christina. Who the... Because since we were introducing ourselves and giving names, why do I give a real name? Listen, I give a fake name in so many scenarios. Why on earth in that scenario did I give my real name? Not a clue. But he's like, Christina. I'm like, who the... And he's like in this like tent, like half in the tent or whatever. And he's like, if any of these guys are creeping you out or whatever, he goes, you know, my wife and I come in here all the time and blah, 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 blah. Oh, well, give me a break. Trying to use your wife, trying to be like, I'm an ally because I'm married. I don't care who you are. I'm like, brother, I'm good. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna go take a dip. So then I go take a dip. I come back. I have my shell on, whatever. And I remember this was like I was very free. I was like, girl, you're doing it, right? I was like uncomfortable and whatever, but I was like, you're doing it. Like, this is a badass story. One day you're gonna look back at this. And then I'm on my towel. I put my shell back on. That just made me feel a little bit better. And then Frisbee guy circles his way back, and I'm like, of course he did. And of course now I don't even have bottoms on. And he's like coming up to me like, oh, you can't, like, come on, I've asked you a bunch of times, you gotta be ready now. I let you have your... And that's when, like, yeah, although I'm complaining about it, I got up and I played Frisbee. Okay, I did, and I felt like a horse gallivanting through the wind, like the wind in my hair, like the wind everywhere, actually. And the Frisbee group, clearly, again, like I said, everyone was noticing me, although I thought that I was going to be invisible. I don't know in what world I thought that it was going to be like normal. I'm like, well, if everyone's nude, then no one's going to notice me nude. The two-person Frisbee turns into like a 13-player we've got a circle going on. We've got multiple Frisbee. we're going, okay? We're Frisbee, and I'm like, I'm not a Frisbeer, but after that, you should see the flick of the wrist. Listen, what you'll do in survival mode, insane. Like, I was flicking those Frisbees, like low-key a little bit of oomph in it. And yeah, then we played Frisbee, and then I was like, all right, I'm gassed. Granted, Frisbee actually I think is one of the most unattractive sports that you can probably play while you have no clothes on, because you're always bending down. Like, I don't know, it's just like very, it was crazy, but it was a time, and I did it. And then shortly after that, I left, and I felt like I was like on a high on life. Like, I was like I'm crazy, but I'm free. Like, that's how I felt. And that's why I tell my friends all the time, I'm like, if you're in New Jersey, you should go to that beach. Again, I'll say it again, one time for the one time. Like make it a bucket list thing. You don't gotta go again. Like, maybe bring a friend, do whatever. But it's an interesting experience, to say the least. Okay, bye.
I need to tell this DoorDash story on here because I can't believe I've never talked about it, because it's so absurd, but also so funny. So in 2022, it was a Sunday morning. I had went out the night before, and I woke up really early Sunday and was dying and was like, I need breakfast. So I go into DoorDash, I place an order, it's like 7 a.m. Place an order, it says it's gonna be there in like 30 to 40 minutes. I'm like, okay, perfect. I can set an alarm, go back to sleep for 30 minutes. When I wake up in 30 minutes, it'll either be here or be close. So I do that, I go back to sleep, wake up to my phone ringing, and I think, okay, it's probably the DoorDash person, like not being able to find my house or something. And so I answer it, they're like, hi, have you received your DoorDash order yet? And I was like, I don't think so. Mind you, I just woken up. So I'm like, okay, let me go check the door. I look in the app, it says Dasher on the way. There's nothing at the door. And they're like, okay, that's all, thank you. And I'm like, that was really weird. So I continue to sit there watching the app, and I see that the DoorDash person is going in the wrong direction. I'm like, okay, weird. Then I waited out. They're at a house for like 15 minutes, not moving. And I'm like, okay, I'm over this. I'm canceling this order. Go into the chat in the DoorDash app, and I'm like telling them the whole story. I'm like, you guys called me, don't know what's going on. My DoorDash never showed up, whatever. They're like, okay, we'll refund you or credit you. And I was like, you can credit me. I'm like, perfect. I'll just go back to the app, order from somewhere else, start over. So I go into the app, and I'm placing my order, and the app logs me out. And I'm like, what? This is weird. And so I go to log back in. It's not letting me in. I think I'm just forgetting my password. I reset my password. That doesn't work. It's giving me this error code. And I'm like, what is going on? Remember like the state I'm in. So I'm like, I have no patience for this. So I am like, screw DoorDash. I'm using a different app. So I go into a different app and order something, move on that day. So a couple weeks go by and I'm like, okay, I need to actually like report this because I still can't get into my app. I try again. I try to reset my password and nothing works. It's still giving me the code. I send the screenshot of the code via email to like the support for DoorDash. And I tell them the whole story. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And they're like, you have violated our terms and conditions. You've been banned and your account has been deactivated. And I'm like, literally, what? Like, what did I do? And I go back and forth with them a little bit. I'm like, can you please tell me what I did? Because here's my story. I write out the whole thing. They're like, we can't tell you what you did, but you violated the terms and conditions. And I'm like, what? So I'm like, screw DoorDash. I'm boycotting them right now. I don't know what else to do. So I'm boycotting them. So I literally boycott DoorDash for like almost a year. And I'm like, I'm never using DoorDash again. I'm like telling all the people I know this story. I'm like, screw DoorDash. Then like, again, a year goes by. I'm on LinkedIn and I see this girl I went to college with works at like DoorDash corporate. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to like see if she can figure out what's going on. Mainly not even because I want the app back. At this point, I don't even need the app. I'm just like so confused at what happened. And so I tell her the whole story. She ends up being able to look into it. And she sends me the screenshot of like the report of it. And the Dasher reported that someone, it doesn't specify, but it was like someone threw hot coffee at this DoorDash person. And DoorDash clearly didn't ask them questions and just banned me as if I was the one that threw hot coffee at them. And clearly there was like some sort of altercation that happened at the restaurant that they were picking the order up from. I had no idea that any of this was happening, but apparently I got banned because I threw hot coffee at this DoorDash person. So my friend was able to get me back into DoorDash and get my account reactivated. And my $25 was still in there a year later.
Let's get ready for my first date since my breakup. I'm so nervous. I haven't gone on a first date in so long. My ex and I met in January of 2025. We were together until December of 2025, and I have not been on a first date since that. I'm so scared. I actually met this guy on Bumble, which makes it even scarier because I didn't meet him like out in the wild. So we are going in somewhat blind. I was talking to two of my friends in a group chat. One of them met her boyfriend on Bumble. The other one just recently went on 2 dates with a guy from Bumble. And I was like, oh, I kind of want to go on Bumble. His bio was like, my ideal first date, getting dinner and going to a psychic. Together we could like have a mini 2-person book club. Started messaging a little bit and he was like, literally 2 messages in was like, sorry, by the way, have you been watching Love Island? So we started talking about Love Island. And then he's like, yes, I was so excited for Bryce to get back to Trinity. He's been yearning like The Great Gatsby. I was like, Great Gatsby is my favorite book of all time. And then he messaged me on the 4th of July and was like, happy 4th of July, but in a liberal way. And I was like, this man might be my soulmate. Worst case scenario, we can default to talking about Love Island. He was like, okay, I'll think of a couple places and then give you some options for final approval. And I was like, yes, I love that. Thank you. So we decided to go to a bar called Treno. I've been kind of feeling like I wanted to go on a date because the idea of it is making me nervous. And I'm like, I don't want to get too rusty. I'm not necessarily trying to like date someone right now, but I mean, I'm open to seeing how things go. I mean, I haven't given you guys dating content in a long ass time. I know a lot of you are here because of the Dr. Hinge series. It's interesting because I'm obviously a lot more involved in the social media world now than I was when I was dating before. And I'm like, how do I go about handling it now? Because people had always asked me before, like, are you going to tell your dates that you post on TikTok? And I was always like, no. I don't think I want to tell him tonight. Like if it comes up organically, sure. It's just like a little bit harder to keep that quiet now because it is becoming a bigger part of my life. He offered to pick me up actually, which is very nice. He is only the second person to offer to do that for a first date, and the other one was my ex. I did not take him up on it because I will be driving myself, but I did appreciate it. A lot of you who have been around for a while at this point may remember the guy that I met at a dating event that insisted our first date was not a first date, who I actually am like friends with now, and he's probably watching this, so what's up? He did offer to actually pick me up for our first date, not the first time that we hung out, but we never went on what he qualified as an official first date. I was gonna use like a highlighter blush instead of anything too dramatic today. I have to figure out what I'm gonna wear. I kind of want to wear jeans because I think it's cool enough. It's like in the 70s. So I'll probably wear jeans and sandals. I took off work on Thursday and Friday because it's my mom's birthday this weekend. I think a lot of you guys sleep on Kokie Cosmetics, by the way. I love them. I just used their concealer, their blush, and this is their eyeshadow palette, and I love their lip liner. I've been using their concealer for like years at this point. I think I'm on my like third or fourth one. I love it. I'm wearing jeans and sandals and just this like sweater vest type top. It is a crop top, which I don't feel like wearing, but apparently all of my shirts are crop tops. So I wasn't feeling cute in a crop top, so I changed into this. I'm like shaking. I get so spazzy and nervous about first dates. Lips, we are going All Reliable. Forget the Filler Definer Liner by Lawless. Sephora Outrageous Lip Plumper. I don't like my hair either. What's wrong with me today? I normally do Dark Kiss on first dates, but I have been liking this one for the summer. Nature Well Cheeky. And then to nighttime it up a little bit, we will do Dossier Ambery Vanilla. I'm scared. Wish me luck. Got home from my date, so let's debrief. He gave me a couple options for restaurants. I said I was good with any of them, and he said if we go to Treno, there's other places nearby that we can walk to after dinner if we want, so do you want to do that? Perfect, great. So he made us a reservation for 7. He texted me when he was leaving his house. He texted me when he got there. He said he was going to wait outside for me. I pull up like 2 minutes after him, so he met me outside. A little bit taller than me. Looked really nice, smelled really good. He was cute. He looked exactly like his pictures, but like, I don't know, when people are in person and like animated, they're more attractive to me. So he was cute, cuter in person than I thought I was gonna find him from his photos. So we sat down and started talking. We just kind of jumped into it. We've been texting enough that I was like, how was today at work? Because he told me that it was a little frustrating. So we just kind of like jumped in, and the conversation flowed pretty well for the most part. There was like hardly any awkward stutters or anything. We split like 2 appetizers. We each got 2 drinks. We held hands across the table for like a second, and then the waitress came over and I like grabbed my drink and whatever, but it didn't feel like awkward. It didn't like linger too long. The waitress came over and was like, we're closing up in here. You guys can go to the bar. They're open for another hour if you want to have another drink. We decided to walk over to Central Taco and have another drink there. And they had a margarita flight, so we actually just split it. It was 3 different flavors, so we just kind of split those. He held my hand on the walk to Central, which was cute. We were there for, I don't know, I guess maybe like another hour. He's got a lot of the same like values as me. He is like very liberal. He's got a lot of gay friends. He like doesn't necessarily want kids. Like, we kind of covered like a good amount of the like really important base stuff without it being like an interview. Like it just kind of like flowed into those topics, which is also cool because it's obviously stuff that's really important to me. So it's nice to feel like it's important to somebody that I'm dating too, if it's like just coming out in normal conversation. And then we were parked back over at Treno. We walked back over to our cars, and I was at like the front of the lot and he was in the back. And I was like, what kind of car do you drive? He's like, do you want to come see it and judge it? And I was like, judge it? He has a Tesla. He walked me back to my car. I said, if you want to hang out again, just text me. And he's like, I'm down if you're down. And I was like, yeah, well, just text me, then we can make a plan. He's like, okay, maybe we can watch Love Island, because he watches Love Island. And I was like, it's almost over. And we did kiss twice. I was good. I will keep you guys posted, obviously. We'll see how things go. I am not putting stock in wanting a relationship right now. You guys know that 2026 is about me just doing me. So if things progress with him, fantastic. He seems like a really great guy. If they don't, I'm just gonna keep doing my thing. But that is all for tonight. I will see you guys later.
I have a story time,
and it's really good. Okay, so I'm gonna give like a brief background thing. I liked this kid for like 8 months. He had a relationship in between that, but I liked him that whole time. Okay, so the kid that I like was like, hey, my friend thinks you're really cute. Would you want to be in a talking stage with him? I was like, sure. Like, in the back of my mind, I was like, I really like you actually, but I'll give this kid a chance. And I had never seen a picture of this kid. I don't know this kid. I just was going off of personality. Personality-wise, it wasn't bad. He just wasn't very funny, so I wasn't really feeling it. So I text the guy that I like, and I'm like, hey, I'm just not feeling your friend. I'm so sorry. What do I say to him? And he told me what to say, and it worked. It was fine. So I stopped talking to his friend, and I started talking to him, like, daily. We were not in a talking stage. We would just, like, kind of talk to each other randomly. And I was, like, telling him, I was like, I actually really like someone. A lot. And he was like, who is it? Like, trying to get me to tell him. I was like, I cannot tell you. I literally cannot. And the only reason I didn't tell him was, like, because I was like, why would he want me? Why would he like me? And so I didn't tell him, and we didn't like stop talking. We just like didn't talk as much for like 1-2 more weeks. Then I checked his repost one day. I was like stalking his repost, not gonna lie. I checked his repost, and he reposted about brunette. I'm not brunette. I was like, I'm giving up, okay? Whatever, no chance. And I told him, I don't think I like the kid anymore. He was like, okay, who was it? I was like, it was actually you. He was like, bro, why didn't you tell me? You're really cute. I was like in disbelief, and I was like, what the heck? What? Like, that's so crazy. And he was like, yeah, you're really pretty. I was like, thank you. And he was like, just telling the truth. He was saying all these super nice things to me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going great. So we had a conversation, and it went great. Then later that night, I was like, wait, do you still like me? Because I was about to tell him, I actually still like you. Like, I was lying. It wasn't like a thing that I used to like you. And he hits me with, so I'm actually talking to this girl. Why would you say those things about me if you were talking to a girl? It like blows my mind. Whatever. I'm like, okay, I don't want to ruin anything with that. Good luck with that. I'm happy for you, whatever happens, you know? He's like, thank you so much. I'll let you know if anything happens. Wink emoji. Wink emoji. What? So I was like crying because I was like, girl, I literally thought gotta get a boyfriend that night. And I was like stalking his reposts because that is just something I do. Like, I talk through my reposts. If someone wants to know how I feel, look at my reposts. So I check his reposts, and he is reposting about a girl, and it's clearly about me. I'm not trying to like say like to my own horn or anything, but like he's reposting about a blonde girl with blue eyes, and the girl that he's in a talking stage has brown hair and brown eyes. So I'm pretty sure it's about me. And I've been reposting about him at the same time. And there's no way he doesn't know that the reposts that I'm reposting are about him. So I don't really know what to do in this situation because I still really, really like this kid. I know all y'all are gonna say red flag, red flag, red flag, but y'all don't understand how much I like this kid. I think I'm just gonna have to wait for him to get out of the talking stage because I don't want to disrespect the girl at all or be like a home wrecker. So I don't know. Please leave your advice in the comments. Yeah.
Good morning, love you. Have a good day. Good morning, love you. Also, there was a tragic house fire that killed everyone. Yeah, and there was a car accident of someone your age dead.
It's been officially 1 year since I got the clap, so here's a story time of how I got the clap. And just so that we're on the same page, the clap is chlamydia and this story not gonorrhea. So if you think the clap is gonorrhea, you're wrong. Anywho, okay, so it was exactly a year ago. I love Snapchat memories for this reason. So my roommate set me up with this guy who was 6'5" named Mike. I was like, oh my god, 6'5", 35, he's a grown man, love it. It started off on a good page. She was like, Kate, I have this guy. He's exactly your type. He's tall. He's funny. He's nice. Like, let's go for this. I said, okay. I just got over dating a gay boy. That was a bad run. Like, let's try again. Take 2. So she sets me up with this guy. He DMs me a very nice thing. He's like, my name's Mike. Like, I think you're beautiful. I'd love to take you out and get to know you. I'm like, okay, great. Awesome. Let's go meet up for drinks. But I have a friend in town, so, like, we need to wait a week. And he's like, okay, no worries. Like, does your friend want to come? And I'm like, no, my friend does not want to come, but thanks for the invite. He keeps trying to hang out with me a little bit pushy. I'm not thinking anything of it. Now do I know that once they start to push your boundaries because you say you're busy, they're not listening to you. They're never going to listen to you. Cut them loose, okay? But I was giving this man the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, he's nice, he's cute. Let's try it. It's been a dry spell. So my friend ended up going home. Him and I, like, arrange a date. We schedule it. He gets so drunk that he ghosts me. I message this man at, like, 3. I'm like, are we still good for today? Nothing. Don't hear from him until, like, 6 o'clock when we're supposed to be at this date. I did not get ready for this date. I made other plans. Because by 3 o'clock, if I haven't heard from you, I am not waiting any longer. I am not wasting any more of my day. So he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Crazy thing happened. I ran into this guy from high school. We ended up going to the bar. I just like completely lost track of time. I'm like thinking, I'm like, this is a very valid excuse. Like, of course, like I totally get it. However, like I have made plans, like we can cry again tomorrow. Now at this phase in life, I know that if they bail on you because they accidentally blacked out drunk, that is still a major red flag. Okay. But so I end up going on a date with him the next day. Okay. It's funny. It's fine. I end up picking him up in my car. I'm like, oh, great. He was like, I'm in an Uber there. I'm like, do you want me to just pick you up? He's like, yeah, you can pick me up. He had a car. He just thought he was going to get so drunk at the date that he wasn't going to be able to drive home. Also, red flag. I still went along with it. I'm like, tee hee ha ha, I'm a people pleaser to my core. So I pick him up on this date. We go on the date. He's being really touchy. He's acting like we've known each other forever. I'm like, okay, this is fine. I'm going to go along with it. On this date, he's telling me about how he loves ketamine and he does it casually when he watches TV and he puts himself in a K-hole. I love my psychedelics. Like, I want to go into psychedelic therapy. That did not deter me. I was like, fun. No. And he's telling me about how his parents do a bunch of drugs and it's like fun and they're a party family and he's telling me all these frat stories and I'm like, oh, this feels like I'm at home. This feels like I'm in school again. Like, I have a drug addict daddy and I was in a sorority. I was a sorority girl. Like, this is like so comforting for me, obviously. So I'm thinking the date is fine. I'm like, tee hee ha ha. I think everything's funny. Everything's good. I drive him home like the chivalrous man I am. And we start making out in the car. He's trying to get a little bit farther. I'm like, I am a good girl. I do not sleep with a man on the first date. So he basically like makes me fucking give him a handy. I'm like, no. But I, again, people pleaser. Finally, get out of there by the fucking skin of my fucking teeth. Next day, we're texting. I'm like, do you know how to open up a coconut? I lived in Hawaii at this time. Some random man had given me a coconut. And I was like, how do I get this thing open? He was like, I don't know, because he's a white boy, white Halle boy. He's like, I don't know, but I'll do some Googling and I'll figure it out. I'll be over at your house later. I said, what? I didn't invite you over to my house, but okay, like I want to get this coconut open. I can get laid, all the things. Nuts all day, baby. And so he comes over to help me get open this coconut, and then we start making out, and then he's like, you're a really good kisser. Meanwhile, my whole face feels like it's just been eaten off. It's soaked because he just made out with my entire chin. But I end up having sex with him. It's fine. We go to the pool. I have the most gnarly discharge of my goddamn life. Turns out that's the chlamydia. But I'm thinking the pool just messed up my pH. It's fine. Whatever. But then he literally tries to finish inside me without asking, so I'm a little freaked out at that point. At that point, I'm like, okay, things are violated. I don't want anything to do with you. So I ended after a few days because I had to riddle through my whole body and figure out, oh, I actually don't like this man. Gotta cut it loose. Don't want anything to do with you. Don't ever actually want to see you ever again because you're freaking weird. So I ended with him and he's like, not gonna lie, this kind of caught me out of left field. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it did. Here's all the things that you did as to why I never want to see you again. You literally the next morning after I hooked up with him, he was like, where's Cupid? Let's thank Cupid. Cupid was my roommate. Cupid is my roommate. I'm like, dude, it's 7:30 in the morning. Shut the fuck up. He put my vibrator on his ball sack when we weren't even having sex. And then he wanted to meet my mom because she was coming into town. And then was just like all around. Oh, he was saying things like, you're mine. I'm going to make you fall in love with me. And I'm like, dude, get the fuck away from me. You're scaring me now. Now, like, my threshold is tapped, burned through. We're done. So I ended it with him. And then I found out I had chlamydia 6 months later when I was dating the hottest man I'd ever seen in my entire life. And everybody was like, you should get tested because he sleeps around. I get tested. I embarrass the fuck out of myself because he's like, I'm not sleeping with anybody else. And I'm like, oh, great. Then I know exactly who it is because this is the guy who I was like, if anybody was to give me an STD, it would have been him. Anyway, peace and love. That's my only STD to this date. But anyway, if they're a fucking loser and they showed that they're a fucking loser, don't give them the benefit of the doubt. I've done it too many times. Bye. Story time of the most diabolical man I've ever dated who ended up giving me chlamydia exactly 1 year ago today. Thanks, Snapchat, for telling me. Okay, so how did this happen? My roommate at the time said, hey, Kate, one of my regulars is totally your type. He's 6'5". He's like an ex-frat boy. He's funny. He's charismatic. He's totally your type. Let me set you up on a date with him. I said, oh my God, okay, thank you. The guy that I just dated was gay. My phone is going to die, so I need to put this on the charger. But he was gay, so I was like, I need redemption. I need a turnaround. So I'll take this advice. Like, I'll take your suggestion. I'll go on a date with this man. Okay. So he ends up DMing me. He's super nice. He's like, I think you're really beautiful. I'd love to get to know you. When are you free? I'm like, oh my God, this is so great. He seems so normal. Amazing. My friend is in town, so we're going to have to go next week. He's like, does your friend want to come? I'm like, no, my friend does not want to come, but thank you so much for the invite. That is so kind, so consider it. We love that. So my friend and I was leaving. We plan a date. We organize it. 3 o'clock comes around. I'm like, hey, are we still good for the date at 6? He does not respond to me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not gonna get ready. He's not responding to me. He texts me at 6 o'clock when we're supposed to be on this date. And he goes, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I blacked out. This is like exactly what just happened to me in my Boston story time. Anyway, I'm like, what do you mean you blacked out? Like accidentally. He's like, crazy thing happened. This guy that I went to high school with was walking on the street and he was like, oh my God, Mike. And I was like, oh my God, whatever the fuck his name was. And we just sat at a bar and I completely lost track of time. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm such an understanding girl. Of course I understand that running into one of your high school friends requires you to get blackout drunk and totally losing track of time and totally avoiding this date. That's fine. Like, I made plans though, so we can hang out another time. And he's like, okay, like, please forgive me. I'm not a flake. Like, I will make this up to you, blah, blah, blah. Like, we'll do dinner and everything tomorrow. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll meet you tomorrow. So I meet him tomorrow. He's like, I'm about to Uber there. I'm like, what do you mean you're about to Uber there? Do you want me to pick you up? I'm going to drive. He's like, oh yeah. Why was he going to Uber? Because he thought he was going to get blackout drunk because he had a car and he just chose not to drive. I'm like, oh, awesome. You want to get blackout drunk on your first date with me? Sick. We go on this first date. He's funny. He's acting like he's known me forever. I'm like, tee, ha, people pleaser to the core, so I'm just going to go along with it. He's telling me on the first date about how he loves to do ketamine casually when he watches movies and enter in these deep K-holes, telling me about his parents love to do cocaine with him. They're party people. I'm like, that sounds fun, relatable. Your mom sounds cool. He's telling me his all frat stories. I'm like, okay, beautiful. This is sounding so familiar. My daddy is a drug addict, and I was a sorority girl who dated frat boys, so this is like so familiar, so nostalgic. Love it. So I'm eating this shit up. I'm like not thinking anything of it. I'm so dissociated at this point, probably because like my gut knew something was wrong with this man, or I'm just stupid. Probably we could also go with that. So we go home from the date. It's like, I think it went well. In my head, I'm like, I've been laughing this whole time, probably out of discomfort, but I'm so unself-aware at this point. We get in the car because I drive him home like this chivalrous man I am, and we start making out in the car, and then he gets me to give him my handy because I'm like, I'm a good girl. I don't do that, but he had like forced my hand, quite literally. Put his dick out. I said, oh, okay, well, you're not having sex with him, so it's fine, I guess. It's been a minute for me. Anyway, know yourself, know your boundaries, because if you don't know your boundaries, you can't enforce them. Anyway, so I get out of there by the skin of my teeth. I say, bye, you go jerk yourself off, have fun. I'm done. I'm over this right now. The next day we're texting and I got this random man gave me a coconut. So I text him and I'm like, hey, do you know how to open up a coconut? And he's like, no, I don't know how to open up a coconut because I'm a little Halle boy who just lives here for fun. I just moved here, but I can Google it and I will come over later and I will help you open up this coconut. I said, I didn't invite you over to my house, sir. I just asked you if you knew how to open a coconut. Why did you jump far so soon? Whatever, anything, I don't stop him because I'm like, again, I could get laid. That's fine, whatever. I'm gonna let him come over. So I let him come over. He starts making out with me before he even gets this coconut open. My whole fat face is wet because he made out with my fucking face. Anyway, wet up there, not down there. But anyway, we do the deed, we end up hooking up. We end up hooking up in the pool. We go to the pool. So what ends up happening? My discharge is insane. Turns out that's chlamydia. Not me balancing my pH levels, but I thought it was. So anyway, shit gets weirder. Then the next morning he wakes up and he's like thinking shit is like amazing. He's thinking I am his fucking wife. He's like, where's Cupid? Let's thank Cupid, blah, blah, blah. Cupid is my roommate. I'm like, it is 7:30 a.m. Shut the fuck up. Go back to sleep or leave my fucking house. My phone drops on the ground while this is happening and he's looking under my bed, which is where my vibrator is. What does he do? He picks up my vibrator, he puts it on his balls. We're not even having sex. I said, you crossed a line, sir. That is sacred. Anyway, so I'm like feeling very uncomfortable at this point. My mom was coming the next week and I was telling him I couldn't hang out and he was like, oh, let me meet your mom. Like, let's get your mom drunk. And I'm like, no, you need to be cut off. I came to this island for rehab. I know some AA communities I can introduce you to. You should probably think about going. Anyway, I'm freaked the fuck out. And he also tried to finish me without asking. I'm like, no, you violated every boundary, every possible thing that you could ever violate. You did. Good job. You did it. So I send him on his merry way, super nice. He's trying to make plans with me. I'm racking my brain about like, oh my God, I do not like this guy. I gotta tell him I don't like him. So I end up end it with him like a week after all of this happened. And then I find out 6 months later that I have chlamydia because I was seeing the most beautiful boy of my entire fucking life. He is still the man who I was like, I would marry that man in a heartbeat. Literally amazing, amazing time. I have to tell him that I have chlamydia because everybody is like, Kate, that man's a slut. You should go get tested. And I'm like, damn well, I know if I got anything, it was from that other guy, but I'm still gonna get tested. I'm gonna do it. And I'm like, everybody's telling me that this guy probably has an STD. I got an STD. So I tell this guy, hey, an STD. He's like, it wasn't me. I have not slept with anybody else. He goes and get tested. You can all say he might be lying. He might have been lying, but I do not think he was lying. So I just like killed that with that beautiful man, and all for this 35-year-old fuckface loser who gave me chlamydia and then who didn't tell me he had it because I ended it with him after 1 week, and he was better and he was better. My dating stories are so amazing. I've learned after. I hope I've learned at this point. But yeah, that's my story time.
You know, I'm 56 years old.
Damn. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I really hate that I have to make this video, but unfortunately, I will no longer be performing microneedling as an esthetician that just moved from Utah to Arizona. I have been a licensed and practicing master esthetician in Utah for the last 4 years, and I decided that I was moving down to Arizona to be closer to my family. That's where I'm originally from. So about a year ago, I really started to look into the laws around not just microneedling, but all of these services that I wanted to offer. My knowledge at the time was in Arizona, estheticians could microneedle to really any depth. But when I really looked into it, I actually found a policy change back in 2024, and it stated that Arizona estheticians can only microneedle up to a depth of 0.5 millimeters. Microneedling to only 0.5 millimeters is a very superficial treatment, and it's only in the epidermis, which is the outermost layer of the skin. Where a lot of skin concerns is in the dermis. So, you know, deeper acne scarring, hyperpigmentation, erythema, it all lives in those deeper layers for the most part. When someone comes in and they're getting microneedled, they are wanting that deeper treatment. They're not wanting a superficial treatment. If you would like a superficial needling treatment, you're going to get nanoneedling. When I found out about this policy change, I immediately called the Arizona State Board of Cosmetology and Barbering and point blank asked the representative that I spoke to, I'm not sure exactly who this person was, but I asked them if this was the case, if estheticians really could only microneedle to 0.5 millimeters, and this representative told me that actually microneedling is not regulated for estheticians in Arizona, which is what I thought, and essentially that means that estheticians can microneedle and the depth isn't exactly like specified. When I got off the phone, I still wanted some more clarification, so I actually emailed the Arizona State Board of Cosmetology and Barbering myself. While I was waiting for that email, I had actually reached out to a nurse practitioner in Arizona to also maybe get some clarification. The reason that I reached out to this specific nurse practitioner is because she works with estheticians in Arizona. In many states, estheticians work with medical directors, so this can be a nurse practitioner, doctor, physician, someone that holds a medical license in that state. And these medical directors will be over that esthetician, so whether it's a solo esthetician like me that has a spa suite, or is over a spa that has a ton of estheticians, or a med spa that maybe has estheticians and registered nurses, that kind of thing. When you have a medical director over you, in some states, it allows these estheticians to do more advanced treatments, whether it be an on-site medical director, so they're physically at the location, or they're off-site and they're just in a like 50 to 60 mile radius. When I asked her about the microneedling law, she did clarify to me that unfortunately, yes, estheticians can only microneedle to a depth of 0.5 millimeters in Arizona, and that policy change is true. Regardless of if you have a medical director or not, it doesn't matter. Estheticians can only microneedle to that depth. She also informed me that she had actually had a conversation with the director, who is at the very top of the State Board of Cosmetology and Barbering, and they had a very in-depth conversation about this, and that is where she got her bulletproof answer. Also, when I did get an email back from the Arizona State Board of Cosmetology and Barbering, they did also clarify this right here. Unfortunately, I do feel like there is a lot of misinformation. I think there are a lot of estheticians that don't know about this policy change, and morally, I just don't feel right to microneedle deeper than that, even though I know what I'm doing and I have done it for years. It is the law in Arizona as of right now. Hopefully it changes in the future. But if I am going to charge $200, $300, maybe even $400 for a microneedling treatment, I want to be able to microneedle at those deeper depths to give you the results that you want. I really hope that something can change in the near future so that Arizona estheticians can keep up with the times like the other states, like how I was in Utah, where these trained estheticians are able to microneedle deeper, because I know 100% estheticians are capable and they can do it safely. But good news, I have heard that the Arizona State Board of Cosmetology and Barbering, such a mouthful, that they are in the works of potentially bringing on an advanced or master esthetician license. And as someone who went to 1,200 hours of aesthetic school in Utah, where you only need 600 hours here to be an esthetician, I am all about that. I just felt that it was my duty to inform you all, whether you are my client or if you're an esthetician in Arizona. But for now, I will stick with my facials, chemical peels, dermaplaning, and hopefully bringing on some newer modalities soon.